5 o'clock now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Looks like a ceasefire between Israel and Iran may not have held up. ABC's Lionel Moyes says that the ceasefire was agreed upon hours after a deadly barrage of Iranian missiles struck Israel.
Iran launching waves of missiles into Israel. At least 7 people reportedly killed in the attacks. Smoke also in the sky near Jerusalem as Israel intercepted other missiles. The ceasefire was set to be phased over a 24-hour period, with Iran's foreign minister saying Iran would halt attacks by 4 a.m. local time, but some missiles were launched after that deadline.
Meantime, Americans are being warned about international travel. The State Department issuing a travel alert to anywhere in the world after the U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Some travelers at BNA spoke to Channel 4 about that.
We've seen it on the news, but I haven't taken much notice of it.
The questions and the conversations today have definitely been, in the last couple of days, has been about Iran. I picked a guy up today that had just flown in from Reagan, and I asked him right out, I was like, what's the vibe like in D.C.? And he said, he didn't notice any difference in security or anything like that.
And for those of us who plan to travel over the road, oil prices fell 7% yesterday, and that could eventually lead to lower gasoline prices. Right now, the average price of a gallon of gasoline is $3.22 nationally. In Tennessee, it's $2.84. In Nashville, the average is $2.87. Market numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
The Dow jumped more than 370 points Monday afternoon as crude oil prices fell and investors processed a restrained response from Iran against the U.S. attacks over the weekend. The Nasdaq also finishing ahead at 183 points, with the S&P closing 57 points higher. FICO unveiled 2 new methods of tracking Americans' credit score that will include data from certain buy now, pay later loans. In a press release, the company acknowledges these types of payment plans are an increasingly important rule in consumers' financial lives, and this will give lenders greater visibility into consumers' repayment behaviors. Real estate brokerage company Compass has brought a lawsuit against competitor Zillow over its policy to ban private home listings, claiming in the lawsuit Zillow relies on anti-competitive tactics in violation of the antitrust laws in order to create an illegal monopoly that shuts out competition. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Right now, the Dow futures are up 319, NASDAQ futures plus 245, and the S&P futures, they're up 51 points. Oil, by the way, down another 3 1/3% this morning. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Avondale this morning, West Trinity Lane, east of I-65. Look out for a crash in that spot. Otherwise, looking good on 24. 40 is okay this morning and 65. Otherwise, you're doing okay. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, Joan, I want to tell you my morning so far.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I wake up and a ceasefire is in place.
Right?
But just a couple of hours later, the ceasefire apparently has now been broken.
Falling apart
Almost immediately. Again, I woke up. I was very excited. A ceasefire is in place, and then...
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer live in New York. The IDF is working right now to intercept a sixth wave of missiles launched toward Israel. An earlier salvo striking a building in Beersheba, an attack killing at least 3 people and hurting numerous others. It comes as we await Israel to respond to President Trump's statement that a ceasefire has been reached.
So I guess Iran has been saying, though, that this was not one of their bombs. At least that's what they're saying. So it could be. Now, number one, I don't believe Iran as far as I can throw them. That's
right.
Part of my presentation this morning. But, I mean, it could be one of their proxies. It could be, I don't know, whoever. But I'm here to tell you that right now they say that Israel, of course, accusing Iran of utter violation of the ceasefire. But you can't trust Iran. You just can't. And so now the question is, okay, well, if you're Israel, how do you react and how do you respond? The IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, they're all over this. And so now they are plotting their attack. They're plotting their response to all of this. In true Iranian style, by the way, their rockets this morning did indeed hit an apartment complex again.
Tragically, in the town of Beersheba, an apartment building there, a very strong direct impact by a missile. Shelters won't help you when that happens. And yes, 3 people confirmed dead, several wounded, and a lot of damage. And
I think those numbers now may be dated because I think there's more than 3. I think I heard somebody, I don't know if it was you, Joe, whoever it was, but the numbers seem to be ricocheting all over the place. And so we're trying to get all the latest information. But the bottom line is that this ceasefire, is it safe to say that it was over before it started?
I think that's probably true.
But there's a lot of gray area when it comes to these ceasefires. Because, you know, they'll say, like, okay, the ceasefire begins at midnight, right? That's sometimes what they do. The ceasefire begins at midnight.
They give them a little time to launch an extra rocket or 2.
It's like, wait a minute, what time zone were we talking about?
Right.
It was programmed into the system. You know, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how Israel... breaking news, Israel identifies incoming barrage of missiles after the ceasefire. So, you know, this is going to be one of those mornings where we'll just have to see what transpires. But again, Iran apparently, allegedly firing these missiles after the ceasefire was supposed to have taken hold.
Ceasefire supposed to go into effect. We heard that from President Trump. We heard secondary sources from Israel that they would go along. We heard directly from Iran that they were going along. But we've been seeing directly from Iran that so far they're not going along.
Well put.
Well put.
So Keith on the super text line says, I think the Iran leadership is decimated. This could have come from a rogue group.
Right. That it could have come from a rogue group. It could have come from, you know, disgruntled. They got all kinds
bad
of
actors.
You got bad actors. You got Hamas. You got the Houthi rebels. You got all these guys, and I'm assuming that within Iran, you also have these groups. And there's going to be groups in Iran that are not happy with a ceasefire with Israel. But here's the other thing is, again, I'm going to say this 1,000 times. You cannot trust Iran. My original statement, and this goes way back to when all of this began, is that you don't negotiate with terrorists. Because can I tell you what my concern is with all of this? My concern with all of this is that it's going to be a ceasefire, and that is simply going to allow Iran to reload. It's going to allow them to, okay, so we're not getting bombed, so let's go ahead and do what we need to do to acquire either, this is going to be either or maybe both, acquire a nuclear weapon or some nuclear weapons, or continue towards our quest for nuclear weapons under the guise of peace. That's what my concern is. Because, again, you can't trust Iran. Now, how did we get here? It's been since 9 o'clock yesterday. Boy, there's been a lot that's been going on. Yesterday, I got off the air. Iran had attacked our military base in Qatar. Those missiles, of course, you know that they were knocked down. And remember what Iran does. What Iran does is, because they know that they're beaten. Right now, Iran knows that they are beaten militarily. You simply cannot deny that. So what they do is they'll fire some rockets, and they know that they're going to be shut down. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump even puts out a statement. I thought this was passive-aggressive on Trump's part, by the way, where Trump puts out the statement thanking Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and no one injured. They've gotten it all out of their system, and there will hopefully be no further hate. And so what he was doing was he was throwing Iran right under the bus, because he's telegraphing strength, as Donald Trump does, by saying, yeah, Iran is so weak, and Iran is so weakened, and Iran is so afraid of America that they gave us early notice. Victory to America. Because that's part of what Iran does, and that's part of this dance. So one of the other things that, as President Trump was watching all of this unfold overnight, as Iran was sending rockets into Israel, hitting apartment complexes, President Trump did post, KGB, can you do me a favor and monitor Truth Social for me? He's been very active this morning, as a matter of fact. And so President Trump posted, I believe this was after Iran sent those rockets into Israel post-ceasefire. The president posting, the ceasefire is now in effect. Please do not violate it. And, of course, Iran does. So we'll have to see where this all plays out, how this all plays out. By the way, talking about what Iran did yesterday in bombing or trying to bomb our military base in Qatar, the New York Times puts it this way. Iran needed to save face. That's what I'm talking about. Iran needed to save face. From inside a bunker, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, sent an order to strike back, according to 4 Iranian officials familiar with the war planning. But the Ayatollah also sent instructions that the strikes be contained to avoid an all-out war with the United States, according to the officials who were not authorized to speak publicly about the country's war plans. Have you seen, Joan, I know that you are active on socials. Have you seen, I'll see if I can find it and repost it, but there is a meme out there, and you've got the Ayatollah there, and he's jogging in slow motion, and the flock of seagulls, and I ran so far away, because he's in hiding. It's very funny.
And I guess you've seen oh gosh, I think I sent it to you. The song. I'm going to have to get it for you and play it for you, because now that I've said it, I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. If you, I don't see that you did send it to me, but
okay.
Yeah, I would love to hear it, because I think that there is, Joan's dying now because she's like, where was it? Where did I see it? Where did I see
my
it?
Mouth.
It's all right. I know you'll find it before 9 o'clock. But anyway, so yeah, Iran warned Qatar. Americans were warned, and these missiles were easily shot down. 13 of the 14 had been downed. One was so far off the mark, it didn't matter. And again, nobody was hurt and no damage. So it is clear that the Ayatollah there is clear that he knows that he's defeated. He knows that his nuclear apparatus, his military apparatus has been destroyed. So President Trump announcing the ceasefire yesterday, he says, congratulations to everyone. Israel and Iran have fully agreed to a ceasefire, Trump said on Truth Social. He says this should be called the 12-day war, which I've noticed that in all the audio that I have after Trump posted that, everybody from the Trump administration is saying this 12-day war, the 12-day war, the 12-day war. He says, President Trump says, this is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel. God bless Iran. God bless the Middle East. God bless the United States of America. And God bless the world. Donald Trump in announcing the ceasefire. Israel accusing Iran of utter violation of the ceasefire. I think Trump's on the phone right now. I think the president's on the phone right now. Coming up, I've got some great audio from J.D. Vance. Also, by the way, KGB, did you text me the Daily Dan poll today? Joan is one that I dictated to KGB. He loves when I do that. Do you trust Iran not to restock nuclear weapons during this, air quoting, ceasefire?
Yeah, I felt like adding the quotes was necessary.
The air quotes was absolutely necessary. So watch us on YouTube, and you can watch us anywhere, but watch us on YouTube and check out the Daily Dan poll. What are people saying so far? Do you trust Iran not to restock nuclear weapons during this ceasefire?
Would you like to guess the...
I'm thinking, yeah, okay, good. I'd be willing to bet, and Joan, you can play too.
Yeah, good. I have a guess.
I'm thinking roughly 90% of the people are saying, heck no, we can't trust Iran.
I'm going 92.
Are you going 92?
Yeah.
All right. Now, how do we determine the winner?
Whoever's closest.
Whoever's closest.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Without going over.
So, congrats, Joan. 93%.
Yes.
Okay, you know what, Joan? Next time you're going first.
See, that's not fair.
I'm honestly surprised that neither of you guys went to like higher than 90. You guys were, I thought that was low compared.
Okay, but then here's the thing. We could do another Daily Dan poll, and it would say, do you agree that this ceasefire is a good thing? And you'd have 93% of the people saying, yes, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So sometimes there's just a lot of nuance with these things. Have we done traffic? No, we haven't.
We haven't.
It is 5:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
We just had that accident this morning still in Avondale at West Trinity Lane, east of I-65. Otherwise looking pretty good heading in this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Think of Joan, as far as your weather for today, it's going to be a high of 98. 98 degrees. Joan, do we have and partly cloudy? That's going to make such a difference, the partly cloudy. Do we know what the feels like temperature is going to be like?
It's like 105 or something. I have Stefano coming up on that.
All right, very good.
But I did find the song I was talking about.
Okay, so set this up. What is the song?
So this is the song. It's the Beach Boys song.
Who?
Barbara Ann. And they've reset it to Bum Bum Iran.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Don't mess with Merc.
Bum bum Iran. Bum 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 Iran.
And it goes on and on. But it's really kind of funny.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Did they take Iran to the dance?
I don't know.
I don't even know what that memes.
It's one of the lyrics is went to the dance looking for romance.
Listen, what you said got a chuckle out of Joan, which is more than I've been able to do this morning, so whatever.
Well, I just went with the lyrics of the song.
Time to turn Iran into a parking lot.
Time to turn Iran into a parking lot.
All right, turn it up a little bit. Let's listen to some of the lyrics.
The country's got a feeling, really in the ceiling. Bomb Iran, bomb, 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 bomb Iran. Call the volunteers, call the bombardiers, call the financiers. Better get their ass in gear. Bomb Iran, bomb, 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 bomb Iran.
I like it. It's funny. It's good. He's never much of a Beach Boys fan.
No, I wasn't either. But
Even
I thought it was a
living
great
in
repurposing.
California and spending so much time at the beach, I just was never a big Beach Boys fan. Anyway, moving right along. So I guess we got to figure out if the ceasefire is still in effect. Trump is on the phones. I guarantee you, he's on the phones, and he's telling Benjamin Netanyahu, dude, don't respond, or the response has got to be one where kind of like Iran did, where it's like very proportional, maybe even, okay, here's what we're going to do. We got to save face. We're going to send a few bombs, and then we're done. And then everybody's done, and the ceasefire will continue to play out. So that's what the president is probably doing right about now, because you know what? Trump wants this, obviously, his legacy is on the line here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so he needs to say to Benjamin Netanyahu, because I want this ceasefire to hold. I really do. I think that if we can get the ceasefire to hold, and the mantra has got to be, don't trust and verify as far as Iran and their nuclear aspirations. Don't trust and verify. Israel and America need to be able to go in there and be able to verify that they're not trying to manufacture nuclear weapons, enrich uranium to the point of nuclear weapons. Those are the kinds of things that we need to be able to do. Full and complete access is what needs to happen. J.D. Vance had a lot to say on this. He was on with Brett Baer yesterday. And, of course, J.D. Vance, he always has a lot of great things to say. We'll find out what he had to say to Brett Baer straight ahead. It is 5:22 on Nashville's Morning News. By the way, if you would, watch us anywhere and everywhere. You can watch video or streaming X, except for the one place we should be, which is Rumble. We're on, I'm going dark this morning already. We can find us on YouTube, X, 997WTN.com, and Facebook as well. We are also on all of the streaming apps, too, so check us out there, the WTN app, the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app as well. 5:23, Joan, what's coming up?
Well, President Trump may have to come up with a new name for that so-called 12-day war because it looks like it's still going on. Also, the Supreme Court has cleared the way for some deportations. We've got that and more coming up here at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
528, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Joan, the hate's already started.
Oh, no.
4702 says, Dan, that message came across as a wimp. So basically what I said was, all right, so Trump has to be on the phone with Iran, or I should say Israel right now, where he's saying, okay, so do something proportional. I want the ceasefire to stick. So you go right on ahead and you respond because Iran broke the ceasefire. Israel will respond, but then everybody go to your corners. 4702 says, Dan, that message came across as a wimp. If it's proven they did violate the agreement, you hit them hard, not proportional, like you and the Dems say. They send 2, you send 200. All right. I mean, that's another way to look at it. I want this to stick. I do. I want this to stick. And I don't think my message came across as a wimp. I think that I want this to work for President Trump. I really do. And I want this to work for peace in the Middle East. I want it to work for Israel. I want this to work for the, I don't know, how many people did Tucker say lived in Iran? Like 92, 93 million, whatever it is?
How do you not know?
You know what?
Come on.
I want to
It's
topple the
ridiculous.
government. How is it possible you don't know? Sorry,
that's a horrifying laugh.
I hate his laugh.
That was my Tucker laugh, just so everybody is
That
clear.
was well done.
I think
Like the Joker laugh.
has yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, moving right along. So we'll have to find out where this whole thing goes. And 4702, by the way, brings up a very good point. It's a very valid point as well. So we'll have to see. Coming up, J.D. Vance, some great audio from J.D. Vance on this whole thing. By the way, I should also let you know that we've got Stephen Bucci coming up at 6:36, and Senator Bill Hagerty, he's coming up at 7:36 right here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning now, 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. You know, it's 76 degrees already this morning. Our high is going to 99. It's another one of those days. You may be wanting to stay indoors today, if at all possible. In the news, after days of intense attacks from both sides, the president held some high hopes for that long-lasting ceasefire, but it appears that may already have been broken.
The White House says that both Israel and Iran have agreed to a ceasefire, adding that Saturday's U.S. bombing of Iran's nuclear development facilities made it possible. But the pause in military action might be brief. The Israelis say Iran fired 2 missiles at Israel this morning, and that the Israelis, are set to respond, quote, with force.
President Trump is headed to the NATO summit today. Meantime, the Supreme Court handed a legal victory to the Trump administration, upholding the right of the administration to deport some immigrants to any country.
The ruling overturns a lower court order which blocked the deportation of several detainees to South Sudan. 3 liberal justices sharply dissented, saying the decision is rewarding lawlessness. A Homeland Security official calls the ruling a victory for the safety and security of the American people. Fire up the deportation planes. But a federal judge in Boston said the men at the center of the case, those sent to South Sudan, are protected while the legal case plays out.
ABC's Andrew Dimbert reporting. Back home, a 1-year-old baby is back at home in Spring Hill after being shot by a stray bullet while she slept in her crib a couple of weeks ago. Her parents say it was a drug deal gone bad right in front of their home.
It was step by step the perfect scenario for a horrible situation.
A millimeter deeper, she would have bled out before EMS got here.
Now, that baby's life was saved by a spindle on her bed, which slowed the bullet down. She suffered a skull fracture, though. 2 teens have been arrested. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather. Next, I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Looking good so far this morning on the major roadways heading in. I don't see any delay so far on 2440. Looks okay. No problems coming in from the north on 65 or 24. Things look pretty good this morning. Just a heat advisory, which lasts until 7 o'clock. Friday, the heat index values, they say, are up to 107 degrees. It may cause heat illnesses, and there have been some cases of the roads buckling in some places because of the heat. Be careful out there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Five 5:37, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Talk line, Joan, guy says, Tiny says, hey, check out the fat electrician on YouTube, Operation Praying Mantis, proportional. Oh. So, of course, I went to YouTube because I've realized something about myself in my ever getting older age, Joan.
Yeah.
And that is that I can't resist a good troll.
Right.
So if some dude's trolling me on YouTube, I wanted to see it. But I don't see any fat electrician on YouTube. And KGB says he looked, and he didn't see anything either. So I don't know who you're talking about, Tiny.
It's a name of a guy's YouTube channel. I think it's a it's like a long documentary kind of deal.
Oh, got it. Okay, my bad.
Ah.
Yeah. My bad.
I think he just talks about Operation Praying Mantis.
Got it.
And,
okay.
I think it's just like, hey, when you get off the air, check it out. It's like looks to be like 18-minute video.
Oh, I won't be watching that right now.
Yeah.
Nope. Anyway, all right. So, real quickly, I want to play. I want to play this. There's so much going on. We've got what happened yesterday, and then what is going on this morning. What is going on this morning? Iran denies firing missiles after the ceasefire deadline. I don't believe them. I just don't believe them. I don't think Israel believes them either. And isn't there a way that they can figure out where exactly those rockets came from? Because how is it? Here's my question, Joan. How is it possible that Iran is able to fire a rocket?
Right.
Because of all of the... I think you can fire those off the back of trucks, though. So I don't know. But anyway, so I just didn't think they had any ammo left, any rockets left.
Well, and there's a difference between having the rockets left and the ability to shoot them off.
Yes.
And so one of the things that has been talked about a lot is that they were able to do a lot of damage to those missile launchers that are mounted on the back of trucks, which are really hard to locate. Mm-hmm. But Israel did a really good job of locating them. And, apparently not all of them are gone.
No.
Yeah.
And let's be honest. I mean, Iran, they have a sophisticated military, although we thought they had a sophisticated military, but they didn't even shoot back when Trump went in to take out their nuclear sites.
Right.
They didn't even shoot back. But I think, we had done some signal jamming and all that kind of stuff as well. So, I mean, here's the thing. Donald Trump didn't play. I mean, he gave him the opportunity. He gave him 60 days. On the 61st day, he went in. He head faked him not once but twice. He said within 2 weeks. And then he sent those planes west, I think, towards Guam, but then he had the ones go east, flying out of Missouri, over the continental United States, over the Atlantic Ocean, into the Mediterranean, and they fooled everybody. I mean, just an incredible, they say.
I loved listening to that.
Military feat.
Yeah.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
I mean, it is insane.
Yep.
Scott Jennings, I'm just going to play this. Scott Jennings had a response for the Iranian response to what President Trump did yesterday, where they warned America, they warned the folks in Qatar that they were going to respond. This is what Scott Jennings said on CNN.
And spoke to this. If this, in fact, effectively sets back the program and doesn't lead to wider escalation, the president seems to have accomplished all the objectives that he set out to achieve.
Of course. I told you yesterday I didn't think we were at war and that this represented a de-escalation of the situation.
Yep.
And that's exactly where we are with this flaccid Iranian response. In the words of the great boxer Roberto Duran, no mas, no mas. That's what Iran is saying after Israel has degraded their military capabilities and the president of the United States has taken away their ability to make nuclear weapons. This is capitulation, in my opinion, from Iran today. And it is a complete and total vindication of the Trump strategy, which was to let Israel beat these guys to a pulp. We show up and take away their nukes. Yes, let's have a deal now. I think it'd be great to have a deal with Iran about right now.
Lulu, what do you think?
So there you go. And he's right. I mean, people are chuckling at the word flaccid, but whatever. We're not in fifth grade here on Nashville's Morning News. But here's what's interesting. Like, I'm looking at a lot of the audio. This is just like a radio thing. I'm looking at a lot of the audio, and the audio that I have is now dated because of what happened in the early morning hours. And so, again, we are just sort of on Israel watch and Iran watch, and we'll have to see, what happens. But, for me, the more that I think about this, the more that I believe that President Trump did the right thing in taking out their nuclear facilities. I think that Israel and America, they needed to take out Iran, but not demanding, at least for President Trump, not demanding any kind of a change in regime. That may happen anyway. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But for President Trump and for Benjamin Netanyahu, it seems to me like with Iran, you can't trust them. And so if you can't trust them, then how do you end up in an agreement with them? I don't even think if you put in a new regime, I'm going to, air quote that, you can't trust anyone that is in charge of Iran because it is in the country's DNA to try to destroy Israel. It is in the country's DNA to try to destroy America. And so as we continue to look at what is going on, I think that if they did try to come up, Joan, with some sort of a peace agreement, right now it's a ceasefire.
Right.
But if they come up with a peace agreement, do you think that Iran would come out and say, yeah, we believe that Israel does have the right to exist?
I don't think so.
They're not going to do that.
No.
What would the protesters think? Like, think about the protesters are waving the Iranian flags and stuff like that. Imagine their brains would explode.
Did you see the protesters here in America waving the Iranian flag?
Yes.
After they've had the Palestinian
Absolutely
flags and it's like, oh my gosh, do you know what Iran does, for example, to gay people?
Dan, you had an audio from, I believe it was last week, that a kid, an idiot, said Iran was attacked unprovoked.
Oh, yes.
That's all.
I sure did.
That's all I needed to hear. Mm-hmm. You're all idiots because, granted, you think Israel's these horrible terrorists, and then when terrorists are actually being attacked back and Israel's defending themselves, then all of a sudden you're like, Iran's innocent.
Yeah.
That's a sentence that people have said.
I've watched videos, and I'm not proud of having watched this all the way through. I couldn't even believe that it actually happens in Iran. But a woman who was wearing a dress and apparently didn't have her face, I don't know, her face covered,
didn't have a burqa on.
Whatever. She was literally stoned to death in the middle of a street. The last man, all the Muslim men surrounded her. The last man took a cinder block and dropped it on her head. That is what Iran does.
Yep.
That's Iran.
Yeah.
There's a video in a pride parade of a guy saying, like, you know what the one Middle Eastern state that that supports gay rights is Israel, and they're like, no. And one person were like, I'd rather live in Palestine. I'm like, the guy goes, well, you'd be thrown off a roof and killed. And she goes, she just shrugs. Because that's what they live in now. They live in this fake fantasy world.
Well, no, they're ignorant. They are woefully ignorant. And to me, there's absolutely no excuse. If you're going to be out there protesting, if you're going to be out there draping yourself in the Iranian flag, then you should know what the hell they do in Iran. That's the thing. They are so, and I don't know if it's a willful ignorance. I mean, it's got to be a willful ignorance. It is too easy these days. You don't need a yearly subscription to the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or the New York Post or whatever to figure out what the hell's going on in Iran. I mean, if you're going to drape the Iranian flag over your ignorant shoulders, you should at least know what it is that you're supporting. And these people out there that are saying that Trump is wrong on this and they're supporting Iran, I can't imagine they actually know what goes on in that horrific nation.
Is denial a good word to describe them? Denial?
No, I don't think it's denial. I think it's ignorant. I think that it is willfully ignorant.
It's willful. Absolutely.
It is willful ignorance. Because, I mean, denial, I guess, I don't know.
Just because they're like,
denial
no,
or
we have
ignorance?
to be on the right side. Like, they have to be on the right side of this, quote unquote, right side of history nonsense. And so they can't admit that they're wrong in this situation.
There's so much evidence. There is so much evidence. By the way, one of my favorite audio bites. So as this, and we'll see where it goes, but as President Trump is announcing, and I was asleep when all of this was going on. So I wake up to, wait, there's a peace agreement to, well, the peace agreement's been broken. So, but AOC, the Democrats are still trying to say that President Trump should be impeached. I want you to listen to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as she's still trying to make the case to impeach President Trump as the world is blowing up in a good way regarding this supposed ceasefire between Israel and Iran, brokered by President Trump.
He also said that it was a war, and I think that the President of the United States admitting that he unilaterally brought the United States into a war without congressional approval is a very grave public admission. It is illegal, it is unconstitutional, and so for me, while the president is posting something about a ceasefire, I think what he also posted was an official acknowledgement that this was war. And I think that is something that should be taken into very serious consideration.
So we went through all this yesterday, and the president and Obama is one of the chief guys that did this during his 8 years with all of those drones that he dropped. But Jonathan Turley, of course, you know Jonathan Turley, he comes out after they played this soundbite, and I thought that it was great. So as the entire world is celebrating this ceasefire, Trump comes out as the victor, obviously. She's got to go out there and say, well, yeah, orange man bad, which is basically what she did. I love what Jonathan Turley said.
Well, you have to feel for AOC. You're all dressed up for an impeachment and peace breaks out.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, he said that pretty well.
He did. And there's a lot more. And basically, bottom line is, you know, AOC is correct. You've got to ask Congress if you want to declare war. But military actions and military strikes you are allowed to do because you are the chief executive of the United States military. Period. End of conversation. And this has been litigated ad nauseum. J.D. Vance. He had so many great things to say. And one of the things, again, as all of this is going on, He was on Fox News with Brett Baer.
This is a great thing. For Israel, think about this. They've accomplished an important military objective. They've helped us destroy the Iranian nuclear program. They've also destroyed the conventional missile capability of Iran that threatened the country of Israel. For the Iranians, I think this is a new opportunity to actually pursue the path of peace. As I said yesterday, what the Iranians have showed through their support of terror networks, through their now failed effort to build a nuclear weapon, is that they're just not very good at war. And I think the president really hit the reset button and said, look, let's actually produce long-term peace for the region. That's always been his goal. I actually think when we look back, we will say the 12-day war was an important reset moment for the entire region.
But again, you know, is this going to be lasting peace? And I'm air quoting that, lasting peace, or and if you're just joining us, this is where we are right now. There was a peace deal, and then Iran is being accused of bombing an apartment building in Israel. Israel is now preparing their response. Iran is saying it wasn't us, it wasn't us, it wasn't us. And Donald Trump, no doubt, is on the phone right now as we speak, trying to convince Benjamin Netanyahu not to just completely unleash on Iran, because President Trump does want this peace. It's not a peace deal. It's a ceasefire. But I keep saying peace deal, but it's not. It's simply a ceasefire. We'll have to see what deal eventually is negotiated. But whatever the peace deal is, how can you trust that Iran isn't going to, under the guise of peace, simply reload? And that's my big worry. Mark Levin, and by the way, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that there is a ceasefire. I want peace in the Middle East, if it is ever possible. That's number one. Number two, I would love for Donald Trump to get a major victory here, and he'd never get the Nobel Peace Prize. But if this actually sticks, he should. Mark Levin, though, you know, there have been a few people that have been really, really, really against us getting involved in this situation. Mark Levin had something to say about what Donald Trump did last night with this negotiation with Iran.
I hate this word ceasefire. I really do. The president hated it a few days ago, too. Iran should be forced to sign a surrender document, unconditional surrender. They lost their nukes. They've lost their Air Force. They have no ground-to-air protection. China didn't step in. Russia didn't step in. Not a single Arab country stepped in. The supreme Nazi is hiding in a bunker, much like Adolf Hitler did. Adolf Hitler wasn't thrown a lifeline. He was going to be killed, so he committed suicide.
So Mark Levin feels like, why are we handing Iran a lifeline? We should absolutely obliterate them, and we should obliterate. It sounds to me like he wants us to obliterate everything within Iran so that we will get ultimately regime change. But President Trump, and that is the big debate amongst conservatives, is it not? The big debate among conservatives is regime change, and do we partake in regime change? The conversation does continue. It is 5:53 on Nashville's Morning News. Okay, coming up at 6:36, we'll be speaking to Stephen Bucci, of course, military and foreign policy analyst with the Heritage Foundation. Going to talk to him about everything that has transpired. And at 7:36, we will speak to Senator Bill Hagerty. Looking forward to speaking to him on all the latest developments regarding Iran and Israel. And also, we'll be speaking to the senator about the big, ugly bill. And that is now currently in the Senate. It is 5:54 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7, and Joan Jones has the news at 6. Joan.
Yeah, we've got the latest on the ceasefire that appears to be anywhere from fragile to broken. And a grocery store chain with lots of stores around this area plans to shut down dozens of its locations. Stick around for that and more coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, got a Murphy Show message, Joan.
Oh, really?
So, he went in for shoulder surgery. He says, these drugs I am on must be incredible because Dan is looking pretty good on TV this morning. Thank you, Matt.
No comment.
Matt says, I'm on the good stuff, man. I'm feeling great.
Oh, boy.
Good stuff.
So it was shoulder surgery. He had to get his shoulder cleaned up. It was an old softball injury, from what I understand. And I don't know if Matt, did you try to slide head first? Did you try to do a Pete Rose and you shanked your shoulder? Is that what it is?
I think it was a little more serious than that.
No, it was something happened.
It was a shoulder reconstruction.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but then he's been living with it for this long.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask Matt if he'll call in at like 8:35. And we can
You want him to like just all drugged up on the air?
Yes. I want a drugged up Matt Murphy to call in at 8:35.
So. And then he'll wonder why he's not welcome back on his own show.
He had his entire shoulder replaced.
Yeah.
So is it now like, is he bionic?
Sure. He's a RoboCop just for his arm.
He's the bionic Matt is what he is. All right, got a lot more straight ahead. It's WTN.
Good morning, now 6 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got a crash in Whites Creek this morning. Just check this out on 24, the westbound lanes. It's before Old Hickory Boulevard. That's exit 40, causing quite a delay. Israel has declared the ceasefire with Iran is over. Here's Mike Tobin at Fox News.
Well, the ceasefire was about 4 hours old. The IDF now says it was 2 missiles that flew into the north of Israel, both of them intercepted, resulting in no injury, but resulting in a fierce response from the top of the military echelons here in Israel. Defense Minister Yisrael Katz saying, I have instructed the IDF to respond forcefully to Iran's violation of the ceasefire with high-intensity strikes against regime targets.
Now, hours before that, as the ceasefire was about to take hold, Iran lobbed 5 waves of missiles into Israel, with 1 missile making it through the defense shield in Beersheba. And there were several deaths reported there. Meantime, NBC's Alice Barr reports Iran may be playing hide and seek with its enriched uranium.
Trump administration officials pressing Iran not to try to rebuild its nuclear program amid reports the White House disputes that Iran may have moved some equipment and uranium from its nuclear sites before the U.S. strikes.
Meantime, President Trump is set to speak at the NATO summit today, where Secretary General Mark Rutte has spoken about Iran's pervasive military actions.
Iran is heavily involved in the fight of Russia against Ukraine by, for example, their drones deliveries, which are killing innocent Ukrainians without any respect for life.
Meantime, President Trump is expected to insist that NATO members contribute 5% of their gross domestic product to defense. Well, if you were hoping for relief from yesterday's oppressive heat, you're going to have to wait a little longer. WSMV4's Stefano DiPietro tells us extreme heat and humidity is back again today.
Muggy meter keeps dew points well into the 70s for today, not only helping to fuel some downpours, but downright making it miserable to be outside for extended periods of time. That heat index for today is already near 100 before we get to the start of our afternoon, topping off around 105. Later today.
Oh, that sounds lovely. He says we won't get a break from this extreme heat until after the weekend. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. A grocery chain, Kroger, has announced it's closing 60 of its stores in the next year and a half to make the company more efficient. But the company said it's not releasing the list of stores that it will close just yet. Kroger says all employees from the closing stores will be offered jobs at other locations. Stock futures on the rise this morning. We've got Dow futures up 307, NASDAQ futures gaining 225, S&P futures, they're up 48, and oil down about 3.25% this morning. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got that accident still there in Whites Creek on 24 westbound side before Old Hickory Boulevard exit 40. You've got Madison, a crash this morning at Ellington Parkway northbound at Briley Parkway. And there are some injuries reported along with that crash. Starting to slow down now on 24 as you're heading westbound, right around the Smyrna area. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right. So, Joan.
Yes.
You know, the president was just speaking to the media.
Did I miss it?
What's that?
Did I miss it?
I got some of it.
Okay, good.
Because it's one of those things, and maybe KGB, if you can find. I mean, I think I missed just the beginning. Do you know what Trump said though? Israel and Iran don't know what the blank they're doing. He dropped an F-bomb on CNN and Fox everywhere.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay. So he's in a bad mood. Donald Trump is on his way to NATO and he is pissed. So I was able to capture. Let me see.
So to set the scene, so that he's at Joint Base Andrews right now.
Yeah.
Awaiting, he's boarding, or he has boarded, Air Force One.
Yes.
And he's on his way off to NATO. So you've got the Air Force One kind of hanging out there and some Marines standing around watching. And I suppose that he held that brief.
Yeah, it was a
impromptu.
gaggle. It was a gaggle. He got all those people there behind the line, and Trump walks over and he's ticked at everybody. All right, let me play the audio. Number one, he starts going after CNN. And he, I'm just going to let the audio speak for itself. This is Donald Trump moments ago.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
And off he goes.
Whoa.
They don't know what the F they're doing. Do you understand that?
They're infringing on his legacy. I mean, there's more to it, of course.
Oh, there's a lot more to it. And CNN's got the breaking news headline. Trump, Israel, and Iran don't know what the F they're doing.
They said they just put the F up there, right?
F, like ...
Right, okay.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know, KGB, if you can find the whole thing, because
I was listening.
He was going off on CNN.
Yeah, it was just basically saying fake news. He was saying we demolished that entire nuclear facility, and they said someone was around, but we demolished it all. Like he kept repeating that. He was very adamant about they destroyed everything.
So CNN has been, and I have not seen that reporting on CNN, but CNN has been saying that Iran was able to save some of their nuclear facility.
It wasn't completely destroyed. Like there was still some rebel left, or what. They're just trying to hold. I don't know what he was talking about, to be completely honest. But he just said everything was wiped out. He confirmed everything was completely obliterated.
All right. Well, very good.
Mm-hmm.
So
He's not happy.
So President Trump.
I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
And he walks away.
Meantime, Susie Wiles is in the back of the plane going, oh, no, he said the F-bomb.
And you know what the funny thing is? Can I tell you what the interesting thing is? Is that, and this makes no difference to anybody whatsoever. I believe I'm allowed to actually, I'm not going to because there's kids in the car.
Right.
But I'm allowed to run, I believe, that F-bomb because that is the president of the United States in a legitimate soundbite.
Yeah.
I'm not being salacious about it. The president of the United States, I don't know if I've ever heard him drop an F-bomb. I've heard him do the S-bomb.
Yes.
But I've never heard him do the F-bomb. So he's mad at everybody. Joan, right in the beginning of the broadcast, I said, I think Trump is probably angry with everybody. So I don't know.
Oh, is this where we say you were right, Dan?
It'd be helpful.
Okay.
For change.
Hey, Dan, you were so right about
whatever.
that.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not we'll have to see if this ceasefire holds. I knew Trump was going to be on the phone with Israel, and I knew Trump was going to be like, you know what? Do not respond. He wants this whole thing to play out. And so, his legacy, as I said before, his legacy is on the line. Now, if you are just joining us here on Nashville's Morning News, I do have Stephen Bucci. He's going to be joining us at 6:35. We have Senator Bill Hagerty coming up at 7:35. Donald Trump, of course, if you're, I went to bed and, how'd you like to be Matt Murphy? Murphy show, he goes into surgery and he comes out of surgery just like me. I came out of, I woke up this morning and we had a ceasefire and then the ceasefire had already been broken. So, a lot happened when I was asleep. Matt is probably dealing with the same thing. Trump in the world was really celebrating this ceasefire. And then all of a sudden you had Iran.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer live in New York. The IDF is working right now to intercept a sixth wave of missiles launched toward Israel. An earlier salvo striking a building in Beersheba. That attack killing at least 3 people and hurting numerous others. It comes as we await Israel to respond to President Trump's statement that a ceasefire has been reached.
So you had Israel, you had Iran. Everybody said the ceasefire was on. Now, part of what I think Trump is saying is that you had the ceasefire was announced. The ceasefire was announced, but not in place yet. And so Israel, and you heard Donald Trump talking about it, it would appear that Israel dropped a bunch of bombs on Iran after the ceasefire was announced, but before it was in effect. So then Iran comes back and they dropped a bunch of bombs on Israel after the ceasefire was in effect. And so that, of course, has the whole world now wondering, okay, so is the ceasefire still on? This was Greg Palkot. He was on the scene talking about how in true Iranian style, they hit an apartment complex.
Tragically, in the town of Beersheba, an apartment building there, a very strong direct impact by a missile. Shelters won't help you when that happens. And yes, 3 people confirmed dead, several wounded, and a lot of damage.
Yeah, and we were playing some of this audio earlier where, the folks on Fox News, I guess it's the overnight crew or whatever, but they were talking about this. And they didn't seem real shocked that Iran was not abiding by the ceasefire. I think it was in place for all of like an hour. And here's part of what they said.
Ceasefire supposed to go into effect. We heard that from President Trump. We heard secondary sources from Israel that they would go along. We heard directly from Iran that they were going along. But we've been seeing directly from Iran that so far they're not going along.
No. And again, nobody shocked by that. And so now we'll have to see how this whole thing plays out.
Donald Trump has just posted something on Truce Social.
Oh, he went from they don't know what the F they're doing right onto the airplane. All right, so what did he post?
He said, Israel, do not, this is all, by the way, in caps. So he's yelling this. Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States.
No, thank you for your attention to this matter.
No, but he did sign it formally.
Did he sign it formally?
Yeah, he said Donald J. Trump, President of the United States.
Well,
that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing. Do you understand that?
And off he goes. I think the fact that was his closing statement before he, huffed off to the Air Force One. I've tasked KGB with finding the entire thing because I want to hear the entire thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know why I got such a kick out of this, but one of the CNN reporters asked a question and he just, it was
Ignored them.
he dropped a payload on CNN. So there you go. All right, we'll find the complete. I don't even know how much he spoke about what was going on, but I caught the most important part. They don't know what the F they're doing. But there's more, and we'll have it for you straight ahead. It is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Usual delays on 40 or 440, 840 running accident-free. I'm Christy O'Brien.
6:17 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather for today, it looks like it's going to be hot, man. 98 degrees and partly cloudy. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737 WWTN. By the way, I don't know if you heard this, Joan, but from what I understand, the president actually called into the radio station yesterday. And he was talking actually about the morning show.
They don't know what the they're doing.
And that's what he had to say about us. The only time I'm going to do that, I had to do it.
Yes.
Had to do it.
He doesn't listen to us then.
So we're just waiting. We're just waiting to see what Israel does.
Yeah.
Because you just read that the president is, it sounds like he is ordering Israel to turn those planes around.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of how Bibi Netanyahu thinks of that statement.
Do you know what? Here's the deal. And this is where, I'm going to get a little pissy with Benjamin Netanyahu. We did the heavy lifting when it came to Iran's nuclear facility. We did the heavy lifting. And so, yes, Iran did what they did. However, Trump wants this whole thing to work out. And so if Iran, for whatever childish, inane reason, felt like they had to get the last word in with the bombs, the last word in, okay, fine. But everyone knows that Iran lost in this situation. And so if Netanyahu decides that after Trump, after the United States did all the heavy lifting on this thing, if then Netanyahu, after our president and his ally tells him, turn those planes around, if Netanyahu doesn't do that, he is dumber than a box of rocks. Because we did the heavy lifting. Trump did the heavy lifting. Trump put a lot of, what's the right word? Political capital into this whole thing. He is risking his legacy doing the heavy lifting for Benjamin Netanyahu. He could have just, sold the planes and the bombs to Israel for $1 and said, here's a manual. Here's how you fly these planes. But no, we come up with this incredibly coordinated, amazing attack on Iran's military bases, or whatever you want to call them. Not the bases, but the nuclear bases. And he did the heavy lifting. And so, I don't know. Joan, what do you think he's going to do? What do you think Benjamin Netanyahu is going to do? Because Trump has literally said, turn those planes around.
Well, that's assuming that there are actually planes in the air ready to attack.
Great point.
I don't see Benjamin Netanyahu, okaying his plans through President Trump before he does something. But I know that he specifically does not want to tick off the president, who's done him a big, big favor.
Yeah, it's almost like, dude, you got to throw me a solid.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like to me. All right, so we do have the entire KGB. How long is it? Can you tell me how long it is?
6 minutes and 40 some odd seconds. It might be uncensored as well. It didn't look like it was the censored version because it was just straight up like someone recording it while he was there.
All right, and the audio sounds decent though.
Yeah, I mean you're going to hear the noise in the background.
Yeah, we always do.
Yeah, but it's from Fox News.
Okay, it's from Fox News. All right, so what I'm going to do is we are going to take our break, and I'm going to try to leave enough time on the other side to play some of this audio of what the President Trump said. So there's two pieces of breaking news right now. Number one is Joan had the post on Truth Social where the president, if you want to recap that, Joan, President Trump telling Israel, turn those pilots around.
Saying specifically, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it's a major violation. Bring your pilots home now.
Okay, so that is that piece of news. And this is, of course, President Trump outside of Air Force One.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
So there you go, President Donald Trump. And so we very much, you know what's so funny, Joan, is that I did not having to censor the president's F-bomb so that I could air it on terrestrial radio. I did not have that on my bingo card this morning.
Yeah, no.
It didn't.
Definitely not.
That is what I love about this show, is that you just never know what's going to happen. All right. What I do know is that we're going to hit the news at 6:30, hopefully on time. Joan, what's coming up?
Yeah, the one Republican Congress member with a surprising response to the U.S. involvement in the Iran-Israel war. And we'll get the latest, whether or not this ceasefire has been broken. We've got all that coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. At 6:23, Dan Mandis here. Listen, business owners, if your concrete floors in your business need a little love, my friends at Specialty Coatings, they can help you. Now, they specialize in concrete floor coating and polished concrete. They've been doing it for 30 years. Now, you've probably walked on some of their incredible concrete floor coating. They've done great work on in all the major sports stadiums around town, the arenas, the convention centers, not only in Nashville, but across Tennessee. You know, just last year, Specialty Coatings in Nashville installed over 1 million square feet of coatings for businesses across Tennessee. Now, those buildings include manufacturing, warehouses, airplane hangars, retail, and a whole lot more. If you go to their website, specialtycoat.com, you are going to see incredible photographs of some of the things that they've done, again, for major businesses and corporations all across Tennessee. Check them out, specialtycoat.com. They have an email address if you want to reach out, sales@specialtycoat.com, sales@specialtycoat.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to call, 615-591-9491, 615-591-9491.
Tell them that Matt Murphy said you.
625 on WTN. Murphy Show was talking about how good I looked on camera. Thank you, Matt. Well, you know, I think that I look better without the glasses that I had to wear for years. I mean, it was over 30 years that I had to wear those glasses. Thanks to Vision for Life, I don't have to wear them any longer. Now, they celebrate 20 years of 2020 this year. Since 2005, Dr. Jeff Horn has provided thousands of patients 20/20 or better vision. Dr. Horn's expertise and dedication have made him a leader in cataract, LASIK, and other vision correction surgeries. Dr. Horn's commitment to providing the best possible patient experience, in addition to the most advanced technologies in vision correction, has made Vision for Life one of the premier vision correction centers in the world. Tell him Dan Man just told you to call. If you've been thinking about vision correction, reach out to my folks at Vision for Life and Dr. Jeff Horn, 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020, visionforlife.com.
Satan knows Scripture better than some Christians, and for that reason should be respected because he has centuries of experience in deceiving and tempting people. Satan understands our human nature and our motivations. Satan has the power to plant thoughts in our minds if we allow it through ignorance. John 13:2, during supper, the devil having already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, to betray him, that being Jesus, Satan can possess non-believers as well. Luke 22:3, and Satan entered into Judas, who was called Iscariot, belonging to the number of the 12. Satan actually tries harder on Christians because Christians become his enemies when we accept Christ as our Savior. The best news, Christians share in Jesus' victory since he defeated Satan's power on the cross. John 16:33, these things I have spoken to you so that in me you may have peace. In the world you may have tribulation, but take courage. I have overcome the world. Scan to learn more.
.629, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, Joan, so I got a little bit of audio from Donald Trump where he is talking about Israel. It sounds like he's more irritated with Israel than he is Iran, but, I mean, you folks be the judge. But this is what he said just moments ago.
Well, we have to have Israel calm down because they went on a mission this morning. I got to get Israel to calm down now.
Do you get to speak with the Prime Minister? Did you talk to Prime Minister Netanyahu last night?
I speak to everybody.
You urge both sides not to violate the ceasefire, but reports coming from the region suggest that the sides accuse each other for violating the ceasefire. So
I think they both violated it. I don't think I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it.
All right, so there you go. President Donald Trump got a lot more straight ahead on WTN.
Good morning now, 6:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. President Trump unhappy, as we've been saying, with Iran for firing on Israel after a ceasefire was reportedly agreed upon. He's also not too happy with Israel. Here's more from what the president had to say this morning as he left Washington for this week's NATO summit in the Netherlands.
I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. It's ridiculous.
The president telling Israel to bring your pilots home now in a Truth Social post. Members of Congress will receive a classified briefing today on Iran. Many are warning President Trump against expanding the conflict without congressional approval. Speaking with ABC News, Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska.
The threat of Iran gaining that nuclear capability is a threat to our country. I don't think any of us want to be in a world where Iran has that nuclear capability.
Locally, the Nashville Public Library will remain closed through most of July until the 28th of July, following an assessment of the impact to the building after that fire on June 10th in the adjacent parking garage. WSMV4 saying that closure allows for completion of a full and thorough cleaning and restoration process. And by restoration experts, they say, by environmental professionals as well, and from industrial hygienists. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thanks, Joan. 6:32 on Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here, and I've been telling you for years about United Structural Systems. Now, they are experts in waterproofing, concrete leveling, and foundation repair. Now, this is a great company. They've helped me several times with my home, and that is why I proudly endorse United Structural Systems. I'm one of 30,000 satisfied customers, as a matter of fact, and you will be too when you call them at 615-488-7855, United Structural Systems, USS. Now, they're not going to charge you for any unnecessary repairs, and you won't pay a dime until the work is done and you are a satisfied customer. Now, go to their website, again, USSTN.com. And there is just a long list of things that they can help you with. But, for me, basement and crawl space waterproofing has been a big one, basement wall stabilization, and foundation repair. We guarantee our best. Call USS, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, USSTN.com. Dan Mandis here for the Low T Center. Guys, listen, if you're over 40 and you're running low on energy, maybe you're just feeling a little off. LowTCenter.com is where you need to go. Get started with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, and join lots of guys who are going through the same thing as you. They do have clinics all over Nashville, and they're really easy to get to. And here's the process. You walk in, you see a real medical provider, and you get that energy back. No complicated process, just results. And remember, these treatment plans, they are tailor-made just for you. You can get treatments at the clinic, or you can be treated at home. But either way, you're always going to get the highest quality of care. So right now, you can get a free consultation, and if you qualify, treatment is covered by most major medical insurance. So reclaim that energy and become you again. By the way, they can also help with prescription weight loss options as well. So head on over to lowtcenter.com and book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Simple, quick, and totally worth it.
Madison this morning, it's an accident on Ellington Parkway, northbound side at Briley Parkway. The left lane is blocked off there. Also, At Harpeth River, Highway 100 at Old Harding Pike, an accident there, and injuries are involved in that accident. Pretty slow, too, on 24 as you're heading in. Westbound side starts around the Smyrna area this morning. The usual delays, and same thing as you're heading in on 40. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.636 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you joining us. And Stephen Bucci is on the Newsmaker Hotline. Stephen, always great to speak with you. Of course, a Heritage Foundation, a military and foreign policy analyst, and our guest here on Nashville's Morning News. I'm sure that, I don't know, you may have heard, may not have heard, Stephen, but the president had something to say about both not only Iran, but also Israel and the latest developments here. And this is what the president said. And for folks that are just joining us, we'll catch you up. But this is what the president said moments ago.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
And off the president went. So there's a lot there, but just for folks who are just joining us there at the last break, yesterday we had the word that there had been a ceasefire negotiated between Iran and Israel. The announcement was made, and Stephen, feel free to correct me on any of this, but it seems like what President Trump is saying is right when the ceasefire was negotiated, after that, Israel dropped a bunch of bombs on Iran. And then Iran came back, and after the ceasefire actually was in effect, and they were accused of dropping bombs on Israel. And so now, according to President Trump, Israel had a retaliatory flight on its way to Israel and on its way to Iran. And President Trump posted on Truce Social that Benjamin Netanyahu needed to turn those planes around. So there's a lot going on, Stephen. Welcome to Nashville's Morning News. What's your first blush on all this?
Well, you know, I had not heard that report yet until I got on. But I have to say, President Trump needs to understand that this is the way these countries have been operating for decades with each other. You know, not just Iran and Israel, but Israel and all of its opponents around them, Hamas, Hezbollah, Syria. Every time there's a dust-up like this, and they come to an agreement to a ceasefire, the ceasefire starts at a certain time, and both sides generally keep wailing at each other until the moment of that time. And sometimes they slop over into the other. This is not new. So I understand the president thought he had a hard deal. He thought that meant they were going to stop immediately, and they said no. We agreed to stop at time X. That's when we're going to stop. They both sort of violated that. This is sort of normal modus operandi for these countries and these kinds of opponents for a long, long time. I'm sorry the president didn't seem to understand that, and it got him really upset. But, you know, maybe they'll this will get them all to stop. I don't know. But yeah, I understand the president getting upset. He doesn't like people surprising him with things. But frankly, this should not have been a surprise to him. This is the way they do ceasefires in the Middle East.
Isn't there, like, Stephen Bucci joining us, isn't there like a gray area around these ceasefires where it's like, okay, so it's supposed to start at, I don't know, whatever, midnight on a particular day, but, you know, there's always some sort of, you know, little fighting does continue as time goes on. But, I mean, yeah, there's some gray area with these things, right?
Yeah, it's not as precise a function as, you know, everybody would like it to be. There's always, you know, subordinates down the chain of command who may do something at a tactical level that, well, there's our opponents right over there. Let's take one more shot at them. Well, no, we're 15 minutes over the line. Go ahead and take them out. They do that. Both sides do that.
Yeah.
And hopefully President Trump's ire is just to make a point to him. Look, guys, I'm the one moderating this deal for you. I expect a little more discipline and a little more precision when you sit down with me than maybe you're used to. I hope he's not, you know, like really over the top and get out. He's on a great track right now up to this point. He shouldn't let his anger over something that he probably should have anticipated these guys doing to derail his efforts, because the efforts have been pretty impressive so far. Took out the nuclear program and got both sides to the table. I think the Israelis want to stop. They want this to be over, but they don't want to have to renew this, 6 months from now when Iran has taken a breather and rebuilt some stuff and now they're a threat again. So they want to finish it, something that, frankly, he's been sort of encouraging them to do in Gaza and other places. But, again, this one he's got his personal thumbprint on, and I think he anticipated it would go more precisely than the facts on the ground are going to let that happen.
Yeah, it's interesting. We were talking about this earlier in the broadcast about this this gray area and how there are these skirmishes that happen oftentimes around these ceasefire deals. And so now I don't know if it's a situation where Israel's got to have, the last, like when you get in a fight with somebody, you've got to have the last word. Well, is it the kind of thing where these countries have to have the last bomb?
I hope not. Yeah. I think hopefully both sides will now go, okay, we're trying to use the good offices of this guy. We really don't want to tick him off that much because President Trump is harder to deal with when he's mad about something. And people should understand that. And hopefully now both sides will say, okay, well, we're over the time now. Let's stop. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. Remember, these ceasefires are supposed to then allow the two sides to start working things out when they're not shooting at each other.
Yes.
So it's the ceasefire beginning is sort of not an end point. It's actually a beginning of the negotiation. And both sides need to understand that, fiddling around at the edges and trying to get one more, it's like being the two brothers in the back seat of the car where, one wants to get one more elbow jab into his brother before the dad really notices. That needs to stop.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. Stephen Bucci joining us. All right, Stephen, coming up, I'm going to ask you about this ceasefire and ultimately, can we trust Iran if this ceasefire ultimately ends up into some sort of a peace deal? Does that give Iran the opportunity to simply start, very quietly and on the sly, start enriching the uranium again and pursuing a nuclear bomb again under the guise of peace? I'm going to ask you that coming up next. It is 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Or 440. I'm Christy O'Brien.
Weather today, a high of 98, partly cloudy, going to feel like 105. Stephen Bucci is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. All right, Stephen, so I wrote this down this morning related to Iran and the ceasefire. Don't trust and verify as it relates to Iran, because I don't think they can be trusted. What say you?
I'm with you 100%. I would not trust the mullahs one whit. If this, doing the ceasefire, as I say, is a starting point, from that start point, then the mullahs have to be willing to completely open up their facilities, not just to the UN or some international organization that, frankly, are not. I'm not going to say they're prejudiced, but they're not that good at confirming stuff, because they're very sort of namby-pamby about what door. Well, open that door. Well, no, we're not going to open that door. Well, okay, and they walk away. Well, if somebody won't open the door, that means for sure we need to get it open and see what's behind it. The verification of them not going back to these things has to be airtight, and that means it's got to be some pretty hardcore inspectors doing this, not the way things have been going in the last few years. So, yeah, do not trust them. They are incredible negotiating jujitsu practitioners, if you will. They're really good at saying one thing and doing something else. That is not a downside in their culture, their faith, or anything else. In fact, it encourages them to do it. So, no, we can't trust them at all. And for Israel to be safe, for us to be safe, for the region to be safe, we need to make sure that they are completely defanged as far as the nuclear program. And that's not going to happen by them just saying, oh, okay, well, we'll stop. And they can say that all they want, and nobody should trust them at all.
I know that Stephen Bucci joining us from the Heritage Foundation. I know that CNN has reported maybe there might be some remnants of their nuclear program left. I've not spoken to you since Trump was able to take out their nuclear program through that, what many people are saying was an incredible military strike. You're a military guy. Tell me what your thoughts are on how President Trump and our military took out those nuclear sites. What are your thoughts?
Well, it was pretty incredible. Cutting edge technology we have not used with these particular devices in operational mode. We've done it in testing, but not against a target like this. These are pretty formidable targets to take out, because they were over 300 feet under the ground with bedrock and reinforcement and everything between them and the surface. It appears that the devices have done exactly what they are supposed to do very effectively. But frankly, doing bomb damage assessment on a facility like that, it's not that easy. It's not like, okay, there's a building on the surface, now the building is a pile of rubble. Okay, we have pretty good certainty that it's completely destroyed. We don't know what's happened under the ground. We're doing testing of the air to see if there's any radioactivity that's gotten out. We also don't know, did they move some of the material or the machinery before this occurred? I mean, the Iranians knew for a long time eventually we were going to target these things. They thought they could, use their bravado and their hand-wringing and other negotiating techniques to hold us off. And finally, President Trump said, nope, take them out. We are going to be dependent on Israeli human intelligence to really get more than just the pictures and satellite images and the sensors that we have out there. When we get that human intelligence calculation part, we'll know with a little more certainty. But until, someone allows us to go poke around in that rubble, we won't know for sure if we've gotten everything or not. So that's going to be a continued effort to make that determination. And if the determination is, no, we haven't gotten it all, then you may see more operations going forward.
One of the things President Trump has posted this to Truth Social. Iran will never rebuild their nuclear facilities. And Stephen Bucci, that was in all caps. So we know that the president means it. I've got about a minute and a half left. You've spoken about the mullahs and folks in charge there in Iran. I guess the question is, there's big debate amongst conservatives about regime change. How big of a deal is it if they are completely defanged of, their military apparatus, their nuclear apparatus? Does it matter if the mullahs that you refer to stay in charge, air quoting, in charge of Iran?
I think that is at best a suboptimal outcome. It would be much better for the region, for us, for Israel, and for the Iranian people in particular, for this regime to leave, to change their government and allow the Iranian people to be free again. They are not free right now. They are under an incredibly repressive regime, and that's not a positive thing for the world. Iran was a much more effective partner on the world scene before these guys got in there. They have been a royal pain in the neck and threat ever since, and I don't think that's going to go away. If they're still in charge, they will continue to oppress their people. They'll continue to encourage other people to do terrorism. They'll try and rebuild what Israel has destroyed in their whole system, not just on the ground inside their country. And they will go back to trying to get some sort of weapon of mass destruction because they really feel it's their duty to their God to do it.
Yep.
So, I think they have to go.
30 seconds. Do you see a scenario where they will just say, you know what, we're going to cut bait, we're out? I mean, apparently the Khamenei there, he is hiding in an underground bunker somewhere. Do you see a situation where they would say, okay, let us live and we'll leave?
Potentially. I think this outcome has to be resolved by the Iranian people. They need to rise up and throw these folks out. Where they go, that's a call for the Iranian people, whether they go to prison, whether they get executed, or whether they let them leave the country with whatever Swiss bank accounts they've set up. But I don't think they should stay there. I don't think it's America's job to take them out, to be honest with you. I think it's the Iranian people's job to do that. But we'll see where it goes. I just can't see them ever being legitimate partners in peace. I don't think it's in them.
All right, great analysis as always, Stephen Bucci. Thank you very much, and we'll look forward to speaking to you again soon. It is 6:53 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan, we got to keep an eye on Trump's Truth Social, man. He is thumbing away.
Yeah, and that's what I've got coming up here in the news. There is another Truth Social post from President Trump just moments ago. We'll tell you what he had to say about Israel responding to Iran this morning. Those stories and more coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
WTN. 6:54, Dan Mandis here. By the way, don't forget, I do have Senator Bill Hagerty. He is coming up at 7:35 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Listen, friends, if you are maxed out on credit cards, if you're struggling with high-interest debt, you could pay it all off in days. With Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan, you can get cash out right now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, and no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan Program at Loan Pronto, it is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got, listen to this, $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, they renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That is a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Now, this is your home equity. It's yours. You should use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy, low monthly payment. 615-499-5780. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out at 615-499-5780. LoanPronto.com. Get debt relief right now. Again, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. On approved credit. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Good morning, now 7 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We have new information this morning. President Trump has just said Israel is not going to attack Iran. In a Truth Social post just moments ago, he said, quote, all planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Now, that post was made as Air Force One was in the air on the way to the Netherlands for the NATO summit. Before departing, he chastised Israel and Iran for new missile strikes that are threatening to end a ceasefire.
I say, okay, now you have 12 hours. You don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that.
He also said that Iran will never be able to rebuild its nuclear program after the U.S. bombing campaign over the weekend. Meantime, Americans are being warned about international travel. The State Department issuing a travel alert to anywhere in the world after the U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Some travelers at BNA spoke to Channel 4 about that.
We've seen it on the news, but I haven't taken much notice of it.
The questions and the conversations today have definitely been, in the last couple of days, has been about Iran. I picked a guy up today that had just flown in from Reagan, and I asked him I was like, oh, what's the vibe like in D.C.? And he said, he didn't notice any difference in security or anything like that.
And for those of us who plan to travel over the road, oil prices fell 7% yesterday. That could eventually lead to lower gasoline prices. Right now, the average price of a gallon of gasoline nationally is $3.22. In Tennessee, it's $2.84. In Nashville, $2.87. In Madison this morning, a small SUV crashed into the garage of one condominium and broke through the wall into the next-door neighbor's garage. This happened on Williams Avenue just after midnight. 4 condo units above have been evacuated until engineers can assess the damage and determine if those homes are safe. Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. The city of Paducah, Kentucky is offering a financial incentive for remote workers to move there. The city on the western tip of Kentucky will reimburse up to $2,500 worth of moving costs for anyone who qualifies. They'll also get a 12-month waiver from the city's 2% payroll tax. Remote workers will get $70 a month for internet services and money toward visiting the city's museums, co-working spaces, and entertainment venues. By the way, the median price of a home in Paducah runs about $260,000. Market numbers here brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures, they're plus 280 right now. NASDAQ futures up 229. We've got S&P futures gaining 47 and oil down more than 3.5%. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a crash in Talbot's Corner on the eastbound side of 24 this morning at the off-ramp to southbound I-65. That's the exit 44A and B. Now, that crash is on the off-ramp on the right shoulder, and that right shoulder is blocked off. Got a crash as well in East Bank on 24 westbound side at Shelby Avenue, exit 49, and that crash reported there causing some delays. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.707 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Breaking news, Joan. It looks like President Trump has spoken to Benjamin Netanyahu after lashing out at Israel over the ceasefire. This has been an ongoing situation, and that is the latest from CNN. I was able to, by the way, get a lot of this audio now from this. It was about a 6-minute conversation that Donald Trump was having with this gaggle of reporters. And he's, taking his ire out on not only Iran, but also definitely Israel. Oh, and by the way, CNN and MSDNC is what the president said just about 35, 40 minutes ago. So let me go through some of this audio real quick. By the way, Senator Bill Hagerty is going to join us at 7:35 on Nashville's Morning News. And so if you're just waking up this morning and you're tuning in, there was a ceasefire that was negotiated yesterday. Overnight, you had Iran that broke the ceasefire. Iran is actually denying that they broke the ceasefire, but Israel says that they did. Israel was sending planes to Iran, and the president is demanding that Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu turn those planes around. And, part of the frustration with President Trump, and I'm going to play you this audio in a second, one of the reasons why President Trump is so angry is because when the ceasefire was announced, Israel came in and, according to President Trump, and I'm going to play the audio in a second, they dumped a huge amount of bombs on Iran. It's almost like, okay, so we've got a ceasefire. It's going to be enforced here in a few hours. So let's go ahead and just drop what we have left right there on Iran. And President Trump is saying, well, that's not the spirit of a ceasefire. But I was speaking to Stephen Bucci earlier, and we've been talking about this throughout the morning. Unfortunately, that's the way ceasefires go. I mean, this is ultimately what they do is, okay, so a ceasefire is negotiated, maybe a peace deal is negotiated, whatever, but it doesn't start until, 12 o'clock the next day. Well, then what we're going to do is we're just going to drop what we have left. It seems silly to me, but unfortunately, that's the way that it goes. I like to call it sort of the gray area of ceasefires, the gray area of peace deals where, okay, it's going to start up at, noon or midnight, and so everybody drops what they can. And so President Trump, though, he's very angry because there was a huge, massive celebration that, yes, we have a ceasefire. Accolades all around. President Trump, of course, posting on Truce Social and so forth. And then, of course, as I just mentioned, then you had overnight Iran seemingly breaking the peace deal. This is President Trump, and he was outside of Air Force One. He walks up to the gaggle of reporters.
But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. All I do is play both sides.
So, and the final comment there, President Trump saying, all I do is play both sides. What he means by that is he just wants a deal. He just wants a deal. And he wants a deal to stick because he doesn't want to see people dying needlessly. And he understands, as we all do, that Iran has been a real pain in the butt. Here's more from President Trump.
I don't think I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it. So as soon as I get away from you, I'm going to see if I can stop it, okay?
And so one of the things, and you heard one of the reporters scream, have you spoken to Benjamin Netanyahu? As I said, he has now after this gaggle. But you heard him say, and I'm getting, I don't know, Joan, if maybe you disagree, I don't know, but I sense that Donald Trump is angrier with Israel than he is with Iran.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, it sounds like he's frustrated because Iran, they dropped really what was clearly an unsuccessful attempt at bombing Israel, and now Israel is headed out towards Iran. We'll have to see what happens. Now, when I said that it was a failed attempt to attack Israel, it was, don't forget that Iran also tried to take out our base in Qatar. But again, it was one of those situations where Israel was like, okay, so you're going to send these missiles over and we're going to intercept them or we're going to shoot them down or whatever. You have the Iranians. They actually warned Qatar that they were coming. Qatar then tells Israel, they tell us. And that was what happened. And then, it's almost like a stage. It's like a play. It's staged. So then overnight, Iran or one of their proxies, we don't know, fired on Israel and they hit an apartment complex. And so Israel is talking tough. They're sending their planes over. Donald Trump is, again, very angry. This is more of what he had to say.
Gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch.
This is actually the audio.
He watches them?
This is Trump talking about CNN. I want to save that for another part of this monologue. But this is President Trump, again, talking about Israel and Iran.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. When I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
So that was President Trump, and of course the money quote there that everybody is talking about is this.
They don't know what the they're doing.
And so now, of course, everybody focused on that. So now, right after he got away from those reporters, he did post to Truth Social. And Joan, I'm curious if there's anything else that has been posted in the last 10 minutes or so.
I'm checking right now.
Yeah.
No, the only thing he said, the last thing he said was Iran will never rebuild their nuclear facilities.
Yep. Yeah, that's what he said.
And he also said, of course, that Iran is not going to attack Iran.
Israel is not going to attack Iran.
I'm sorry, did I say that? Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will be turned around and headed home. He said they're going to do a friendly plane wave to Iran. I think that means that they're just going to let their presence be known.
Oh,
you see?
Okay, Joan. Yeah. Well, apparently he has spoken.
Don't underestimate Iran for attacking its own people. They could easily attack each other themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and blame it on Israel.
That mean? But you were saying Iran attacks Iran. I'm like, that probably happens more often than we know.
All right, now do you want to hear the CNN bashing?
Oh, I love this.
Because it's actually really funny. We're going to do it after the traffic.
Okay.
So it's 7:15, time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, it's going to be really hot today. It's going to be 98 degrees, partly cloudy, going to feel like 105. All right, so realize this, Joan, is airing on CNN, and he just launches on CNN.
And, you know, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean.
So, I mean, He wasn't done, though, Joan. But wait, there's more.
But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers.
And there's actually one more cut.
Wow.
There's one more cut.
Okay.
He was
There's an
mad.
update to that story, too. Go ahead.
Gutless losers. I say that to CNN.
He's calling them gutless losers.
Gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
I mean, he went on and on and on. He might as well have said that
they don't know what the they're doing.
He might as well have said that about CNN too.
So CNN, now I don't know if this is in response to what he just said, but CNN posted 19 minutes ago that the former United Nations nuclear weapons inspector, his name is David Albright, who is now the president of the Institute for Science and International Security, said that he has reviewed the satellite imagery and says that Iran's nuclear facilities have been destroyed, that Iran's centrifuge program that was used to enrich uranium close to weapons grade levels is now completely destroyed. So that was being reported on CNN, maybe in response to what President Trump was saying.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't know that I never watched CNN. It's on in here. I don't know who was on. Oh, it's Chris Hand was on in here yesterday afternoon. Is Chris Hand a watcher of CNN?
I think it's probably just always on in that studio.
It's actually, I always turn it to Fox News.
Do you?
Yeah, when I can figure out the remote. Anyway, moving on.
I did that this morning. I turned off everything in the
did
control
you?
room. Yeah, by mistake. I had to wait for KGB to come in and right the ship.
You had to have a man come in and show you how to use the remote. Is that what happened?
My goodness.
Man, I'm just saying. And by the way, just so we're clear, I know how to use the remotes in here. I'm too lazy though to take it off CNN. But it
was fun working with you, Dan.
No, I just saying. I like to know. I like to know what CNN is reporting and Fox News. I go back and forth between Fox News and CNN. What did Trump say about them? They're complete and utter garbage. I think that's what President Trump said about CNN.
So I think he called them losers at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, called them losers as well. So anyway, so I guess Trump says they're reporting that the president has spoken to Benjamin Netanyahu. I just don't know what what the outcome of that conversation was. However, have we heard anything about an attack Israel on Iran in the last hour or so?
We have not.
We have not. So I think Trump's tirade may have done the trick. I think it may have done the trick.
Isn't it funny how so often we hear a tirade or something that he has said that we cringe at, and then we realize, wow, that was genius. That did exactly what we needed it to do.
Yep, absolutely.
Really, he has his finger on the pulse.
There is a method to his madness.
Oh, there really is.
I think we can all agree. There is a method to Donald Trump's madness. Let's see here. Watch us on YouTube and take the poll. And KGB, help me out. Remind me what the poll was.
Yeah. Do you trust Iran not to restock nuclear weapons during the quote-unquote ceasefire?
All right. Now we did this earlier. I'm going to say that 93% of those polled say that, no, we cannot trust Iran. What do you say, Joan?
I'm going 95 now.
You going 95?
Yep.
All right. KGB?
All right.
Did I win again?
Dan won.
Oh.
Boom.
Dead on 93%.
And that is
93. Okay.
And that's boom worthy.
I think he used it because he knew it was 93% last time, so he thought it would stay around that part.
Yeah, earlier Joan got it right. I said 90. Joan pegged it at, what, 92%?
Yeah, and it was still at 93. Yeah. It
there you
stayed
go.
the same. I'm curious who the 7% have
right?
are optimistic, that's for sure.
There
Hopeful?
are Iranian listeners, is who they are, because they're listening surely in
Well, that
Iran.
doesn't mean they're not hopeful or optimistic.
Sure. By the way, J.D. Vance was on Fox News talking about this ceasefire.
Oh, you haven't mentioned this part before. I really want you to know this part.
Yes.
That when he was on Fox News talking about this, they had agreed for him to come on the air and speak. This was not part of the conversation until seconds before he went on the air.
Yeah, this is part of what he said, actually.
This is a great thing. For Israel, think about this. They've accomplished an important military objective. They've helped us destroy the Iranian nuclear program. They've also destroyed the conventional missile capability of Iran that threatened the country of Israel. For the Iranians, I think this is a new opportunity to actually pursue the path of peace. As I said yesterday, what the Iranians have showed through their support of terror networks, through their now failed effort to build a nuclear weapon, is that they're just not very good at war. And I think the president really hit the reset button and said, look, let's actually produce long-term peace for the region. That's always been his goal. I actually think when we look back, we will say the 12-day war was an important reset moment for the entire region.
And he was talking about, and you're right, Joan, I don't think I pulled that part of the interview, but he was talking about how he left the White House. He's driving over to Fox News. He leaves Trump's office, and Trump is telling him about all of this, and he's on the phone as he's walking onto the set getting the very latest. I mean, it really was epic.
They were very close to a nuclear weapon. And what I encourage my fellow Americans to think about here is that a week ago, the Iranians were quite close to achieving a nuclear weapon. Now they cannot build a nuclear weapon. That is the biggest testament to the president's leadership and to the success of our mission. In 1 week, without, thank God so far, not losing a single American casualty, we have taken what was a threatening nuclear program that could have destabilized the entire world. Now that program is gone. We did it through effective presidential leadership and also some very, very competent work from our troops.
7:23, thank you. Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Joan, every once in a while, Grandpa forgets to turn the microphone on. And that was one of those moments. Anyway, but it sounded really great here in the room. Joan, what's coming up in the news?
Well, we do have some details about that phone conversation that happened this morning between President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Got that coming up here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. At 7:24, Dan Mandis here. DT McCall's, a great Tennessee company that is here for their fellow Tennesseans with great prices, great selection, and terrific value as well. You know, I've been telling you for years about these folks. I've bought a bunch of stuff from DT McCall's. They've been helping people out for 3 generations. And if you need it, they've got it at DT McCall's. Indoor furniture, if you've got a room to fill, go to DT McCall's. Of course, you know all about their lawn mowers and outdoor lawn equipment, appliances. Listen, if it plugs in, they've got it, and they've always got specials going on to save you money at DT McCall's. Just go to the front page of their website. They've always got great specials and terrific pricing as well. And they've been at it for over 100 years at DT McCall's with a terrific focus on customer service. And by the way, if you buy it, they're going to deliver it for free and haul away the old stuff. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee, Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online, dtmccalls.com. 726 on WTN. Listen, oh, by the way, don't forget, I've got Senator Bill Hagerty joining me at 7:35. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they want to send you to the beach. If you buy an HVAC system from Busy Bee, you are in the running for a weekend beach trip. They'll announce the winner on Facebook Live once the month is over. They'll pick up the gas, lodging, and meals as well. Details at their website at busybeehvac.com. This is just another way for them to say thank you to you. And every month, like this month, they're always offering some great specials to save you money. At Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, it is all about you and your wallet. Now, if you need those air ducts cleaned, go ahead and buy that middle tier package. Busy Bee is going to upgrade you to the deluxe package for free. If you need an upright or tankless water heater, they are giving you $500 off right now at Busy Bee. They've actually got a ton of specials going on. Find them online at busybeehvac.com. That's busybeehvac.com. Tell them Dan told you to reach out at 615-775-7833.
How would you like to have Jesus Christ pray for you? Did you know that Jesus Christ does pray for you if you're a Christian? Hebrews 7:25 says, "Therefore he is able also to save forever those who draw near to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them." In Scripture, intercession means to pray on behalf of. Jesus Christ is your advocate. An advocate comes to our aid or pleads our case to a judge, offering support and counsel and interceding for us when necessary. In other verses, Jesus calls the Holy Spirit our advocate. Just like you talk to yourself, when Jesus talks to himself, it's prayer. The Bible says no matter what you go through today, next week, or next year, Jesus is praying for you if you have trusted him as your Savior. He's on your side. Have you ever heard someone say, "I used to be a Christian, but not anymore. After all I've been through, God wasn't there for me"? Here's what the Apostle John said in the early church about false teachers in 1 John 2:19, about those who leave the Christian community. "They went out from us, but they were not really of us. For if they had been of us, they would have remained with us. But they went out so that it would be shown that they all are not of us." Essentially, the Word of God is teaching what the true spiritual condition really is of those who walk away from their faith, that they never had true faith in the first place. Their true spiritual status is that of a false Christian. And when I say spiritual status, I mean Christ-like status. People who think they are Christians, thinking they are saved, but actually aren't, either believe in a false gospel or were false converts who never intended to follow God's prompting to accept Christ. There's no such thing as a used-to-be Christian.
Good morning. It's now 7:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. President Trump has reportedly held a telephone conversation with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just this morning, and CNN is citing a White House source as saying the conversation was exceptionally firm and direct about what needed to happen to sustain the ceasefire. That source telling CNN that Netanyahu understood the severity of the situation and President Trump's concerns. Now, that conversation came after the president lashed out about Iran lobbing last-minute missiles and Israel planning to retaliate.
I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. Ridiculous.
He made those remarks as he was ready to board Air Force One on his way to the Netherlands. That's where he'll appeal to NATO member nations to stop depending on the U.S. to pay for everyone's defense. Fox News' Alexandria Hoff.
There is some positive news here on the defense spending side, because one of President Trump's goals going to The Hague was convincing allies to increase their defense spending to 5%, to make this a pledge among allies. And what we're hearing right now, that it appears that those member countries will be doing so, all of those members aside from Spain.
Now, Spain has reached an agreement with NATO to be excluded from that 5% of GDP defense spending target. Back at home, a one-year-old baby is back home in Spring Hill after being shot by a stray bullet while she slept in her crib a couple of weeks ago. Her parents say it was a drug deal gone bad right in front of their home.
It was step by step the perfect scenario for a horrible situation.
A millimeter deeper, she would have bled out before EMS got here.
Now, that baby's life was saved by a spindle on her bed, which slowed the bullet down. She suffered a skull fracture. 2 teenagers have been arrested. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. At 7:32, Dan Mandis here. Brentwood Jewelry. Now, this is my jewelry store. Check them out online at brentwoodjewelry.com. Listen, it doesn't matter if you've got a birthday, a graduation, an anniversary, whatever. Brentwood Jewelry is a great place to buy gifts for your loved ones, for your family as well. Don't care if we're talking again about a birthday, a Father's Day, a Mother's Day, an anniversary. They've got everything you need to make it special. Necklaces, rings, bracelets, earrings, all kinds of things is ready for you at Brentwood Jewelry. Great gifts. And by the way, if you've got maybe some old jewelry, maybe a watch that means a lot to you, maybe it was your father's watch, your mom's watch, and it needs to be repaired, they can do it for you at Brentwood Jewelry. And they've been doing this for over 50 years. Great selection, great prices, great value, and terrific customer service. Find them online at brentwoodjewelry.com. See them in person, 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. That website, one more time, brentwoodjewelry.com.
Take in the manta rays. Sips. There's worlds to see, all under one deal. Get your combo ticket at AtlantaIcons.com.
Is your old garage door a real clunker? Overhead Door Company of Nashville is paying cash for your clunkers now. They'll haul away your old garage door and give you instant credit towards the new insulated door. $200 for the first garage door and $100 for each additional door. Cash in your old opener too. It's cash for clunkers now at Overhead Door Company of Nashville. Convenient, free, in-home estimates. Schedule online at overheaddoornashville.com or call 615-868-DOOR.
Guys, if something is holding you back from peak performance, it's time to do something about it with performance-enhancing treatments from Edge Peptide. Whether in the gym or on the course, with Edge Peptide and hormone therapy, you can show up stronger, feel better.
Something in the roadway on 65 northbound this morning in Cool Springs. It's just before Moore's Lane, exit 69. They're saying that there is a sign in the left lane. A big traffic sign is in the left lane. So it's stop and go from Cool Springs Boulevard, exit 68, up to exit 69. And got to watch out for that this morning. Normal delays on 24 heading in on the westbound side. Same thing for 65 and 24 heading in from the northbound side. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.36, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's been quite the morning. Just a few minutes ago, Donald Trump, and he was talking about, outside of Air Force One, he was talking about the fact that he says Israel was heading to Iran to retaliate against an earlier strike. This is what the president said.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Senator Bill Hagerty is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. Senator, I know you're busy, so let's get right to it. You just heard President Trump, and he's clearly irritated with both countries. It seems like he's really frustrated, though, with Israel as he is trying to keep this ceasefire together. What are your thoughts this morning?
Well, I think President Trump has done something that absolutely had to take place. If you think about it, Dan, he has taken decisive action at a point where he had already issued a deadline, which Iran violated. He's issued a red line with respect to their enrichment of nuclear materials. Iran violated that. And rather than follow a page in the Barack Obama playbook, what President Trump did was he actually demonstrated American resolve and demonstrated the fact that he will not tolerate this anymore. And he did it in a way that was extremely surgical and precise because he did the one thing that the Israelis could not do, and that was drop bunker bombs on these three sites that are far too deep for the Israeli munitions and ordnance to get to. That was decisive, and now what he's called for is a ceasefire because he wants this to come to an end. He's tired of seeing lives lost in Iran and in Israel. And I certainly understand his comment. These nations have been at war for decades. If you think about it, Iran may have unloaded, everything or close to everything they have. I think Israel's trying to put themselves in the best possible position to negotiate, but they have to stop. They have to stop, as President Trump has said. He's going to be the one to bring this peace deal to closure. I think you've got an issue with the Iranian leadership. They're trying to demonstrate to their own people of Iran, and again, this is a propaganda machine within Iran. The theocracy there is trying to demonstrate that they're still fighting, even though they gave us all sorts of warning before they launched a series of missiles. They did that in a way that we could take all of them out. I think what they're trying to do is survive. That is, the theocratic regime is trying to survive within Iran. I think President Trump sees that. He knows this is the time to negotiate, and Israel needs to stop the fighting and stand up and be ready to accept, I hope, what will be a deal that will bring about long-lasting peace in the Middle East.
Senator, you're talking about the theocratic regime of Iran. I know there's been a lot of conversation amongst conservatives about trying to force regime change. Where do you stand on that?
I think that that's up to the Iranian people. What we've done is we followed through on what actually involved American interest. That is, to see Iran not have nuclear capability. I mean, can you imagine if they did have nuclear capability, the types of threats that they would be undertaking, not only in the Middle East, but around the world? The type of launch capacity that they're working on. Iran has a space program. Come on, they're not going to the moon. They're building this program so they can design intercontinental ballistic missiles that will hit our continent. It has to stop. It had to stop. We've talked about this administration after administration after administration, and President Trump has had enough. The Iranians so played Joe Biden that we were in a position that they were very close to being able to break out with the ability to deliver enriched uranium in a way that would give them the atomic bomb that they have been hoping for. And with that atomic bomb, again, that would disrupt any opportunity for peace and stability in that entire region. And frankly, I think their designs would be to threaten the entire world. So that is over. This theocracy is going to have to decide whether they're going to allow the Iranian people to thrive again. It came very close under Barack Obama, but Barack Obama turned the other way, didn't help the Iranian people when they called for it, and the theocracy has maintained control. I think now the Iranian people have seen, in bold display, that this theocracy is a paper tiger. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but it's up to the people of Iran to make that decision. I don't think the United States needs to be in nation-building form. We're not. We don't have boots on the ground. We're not calling for an invasion. Let the Iranian people make the decision.
I wrote this down this morning, Senator Bill Hagerty. Don't trust, but verify. Now, my concern is that we come to some sort of an agreement with Iran, but how do we ensure they're not pursuing nuclear weapons under the guise of peace? Or do you think that they're ready for that kind of transparency where the inspections have to be done by either Israel or America?
Dan, you raise a great question, because they certainly have not proven their capability to do that. They've operated in secret. We found out even after Obama signed the JCPOA, the so-called Iran deal, they continued their nuclear weapons program. We're going to have, if anything's going to satisfy this president, it's going to be something that's independently verified by a third party, whether it's the United States, Israel, the IAEA, whomever it is. There's going to have to be complete transparency and complete access. No more of this bunker stuff. No more of Iran deciding what can be inspected and when. It's just it's shocking how weak the Biden administration was. I worked for President Trump. I was the U.S. ambassador to Japan in his first administration. My job was to go to the Prime Minister of Japan and get the Japanese to stop buying Iranian crude oil. They're one of the biggest customers in the world. And Japan, eventually, it wasn't easy, but eventually I got them to stop buying Iranian crude. And that happened around the world, Dan. We brought Iran almost to their knees from a financial standpoint. Their reserves were down to about $4 billion, which is tiny compared to the size of their nation and their economy. And what happens? John Kerry, former Secretary of State, tells the Iranians, wait and see what happens with the election. Wait and see what happens with the 2020 election. If Democrats get back in power, we'll do a different deal. Don't do a deal with Trump right now. Joe Biden comes into office. The first thing he does is stop enforcing the sanctions we'd worked so hard to put in place. Funds start flowing to Iran. They take the Houthis off of the terrorist watch list. This is one of Iran's proxies. The Houthis immediately use Iranian technology and funds to hit Saudi. You saw what happened with Hamas in October of 2023. The amount of terror that Biden allowed to be fomented and fund was enormous. And Israel acted with resolve themselves. And they took Hamas out. They took Hezbollah out. They demonstrated to the Iranian people that Israel could penetrate Iranian soil and territory. They launched from within Iran. They detonated bombs within Iran. And Syria has fallen now, so Iran's lifeline to Lebanon is cut off. And also, Israel has taken out Iran's capability of having any sort of air control. This was the time to bring the theocracy to the table, back to a point of maximum pressure and maximum leverage. Again, I think the Israelis have gotten the message now from President Trump. The time is now to come to the table and strike the deal that you talked about, one that's verifiable, one that we know that we can be certain of, and make certain that the Iranians never, ever have access to nuclear weapons. Their nuclear program needs to come to an end.
Senator Tim Kaine is pushing a vote to limit President Trump's actions in Iran. Seems silly to me, the Democrats running around screaming about impeachment. What's your thoughts on the Democrats and how they've been responding to all of this?
There's not been they're calling for a declaration of war before a president can act. That hasn't happened since World War II. This is just typical histrionics. I think what it does is it demonstrates to the American people that the moment that Democrats actually do have power, that is, if we were to lose the House of Representatives, they will immediately go into impeachment mode. That's all they care about is power here domestically. They wouldn't lock arms with us and say, look, we stand with the president. We stand with the decisive action. We want to see this. We want to see peace brought to the Middle East. No, they'd rather just continue to play politics here domestically. And this is yet another stunt. It will not pass. It's just another stunt to try to create the sense that America isn't with President Trump at a time when we all should be standing strong and locking arms together and put partisanship aside.
All right, let's talk about the spending bill real quick. Of course, the deadline, the July 4th deadline, is coming up. Right now, you're involved in all of this. What are the biggest sticking points in what Donald Trump calls the big, beautiful bill?
Well, one of the most important and overarching matters is to make many of the provisions of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act permanent. What that will do, Dan, is actually stimulate long-term capital investment in the United States of America. When the 2017 Act was passed, we saw more capital investment than anyone had counted on at the Congressional Budget Office, and we saw the Congressional Budget Office baseline projections beaten. This is the tax revenue. The tax revenue exceeded the CBO's estimate by more than $1 trillion. Whatever the CBO does to make these calculations, I would rank it somewhere on the spectrum between voodoo and malpractice. They completely miss the point. They don't ascribe growth to the capital investment that we're trying to incentivize. So what stands in the way? We're trying to do the math so that we can actually extend these provisions to a point of permanence. The way the CBO calculates it is they view that as a deduction, not an increase in economic activity. They just see the loss of tax revenues on a static basis. That math is fundamentally wrong, but that's where we are, trying to navigate that, working with Medicaid, trying to make certain that Medicaid is actually going to people who are deserving of it, and to put a work requirement in place. To think that the Democrats shy away from putting a work requirement in place for able-bodied people who are single, that are in working age, that don't have dependents. Somehow that's going to be the end of the world for them. What they want is a culture of dependency, and to continue to extend taxpayer-funded benefits to people everywhere they can. This has got to be reined in. Our spending problem is enormous. And so what we're trying to do is put a more conservative cut on this than what we got from the House, but at the same time navigate it so that the House can actually pass it, and we can put this bill on President Trump's desk as soon as we possibly can.
What's the over-under on a July 4th meeting that deadline?
So I was with Leader Thune last night till about 9 o'clock. He is dead serious about keeping us here till the 4th of July to get it done. He's certainly he's expressing resolve himself. I think we're going to do it. I think we'll get there. These are painful trade-offs that have to be made. There's a lot of discussion, a lot of thoughtful discussion that's going on, and our staffs are working around the clock right now. So I think we'll be in a position in the Senate to get it to a place that will work, that we're ready to send it over to the House before the 4th of July. And I'll compliment Leader Thune and Speaker Johnson. They have been talking and coordinating on a daily basis to make sure that what we do deliver is something that the House of Representatives can get passed, and we can get it in front of the president as quickly as we possibly can. And again, the July 4th deadline for the Senate is in place right now, and I'd say you'd have to say odds are that we meet that deadline. All right, Senator, always great to speak with you, and have a great rest of week. Senator Bill Hagerty joining us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan, what do we got coming up?
Yeah, we've got all the latest for you on the dust-up between President Trump and Bibi Netanyahu as the two spar over the reaction to Iran and a ceasefire. Also, McDonald's is bracing for a boycott. We'll tell you what's behind that coming up here at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, listen, I got to tell you, I really love my friends at Contours because they're helping people look better and fit into those bathing suits. Listen, you know what the temperature is going to be today. It's going to be like 105. It's going to be roughly 98. It's going to feel like 105. If you want to get into that bathing suit, if you want to go down to the lake, you want to go down to the pool, but you're not feeling confident, Contours, they can help with one of their belly buster specials. Listen, here's what they do. It's their red light technology. It is incredibly unique, and it's also incredibly effective. Most folks, when they go through the belly buster treatments, lose at least 2 inches in the middle. I did. Others have as well. Taking advantage of Contours red light technology, again, it not only is incredibly unique, but also very effective. And right now, a great deal going on just for you. First 10 callers right now, 615-236-9960. Gets that Belly Buster special for $99. That's right, only $99. First 10 callers right now, 615-236-9960. Take advantage of that red light technology courtesy of Contours. It is unique, it is effective, and they're waiting for your call right now. 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. Find out how it all works at ContoursLLC.com.
Are angels real or a figment of the imagination? Angel means messenger. Angel or angels are mentioned over 350 times in the Bible, and because all Scripture is God-breathed, we know that angels are real and were created to glorify and to serve God. When Joseph doubted how Mary became pregnant and that she was to give birth to Jesus, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream. "Do not be afraid. The child within her has been conceived by the Holy Spirit." Angels bring God's messages to people, protect God's people, offer encouragement, give guidance, carry out punishment, patrol the earth, and fight the forces of evil. But there are also bad angels. Satan is an angel of high rank and led many angels in a rebellion against God. Although angels are powerful, they are not to be worshipped. Learn more about good and bad angels by scanning the QR code.
7:54 in Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan, I'm seeing on True Social that President Trump has told reporters on Air Force One, not before he got onto Air Force One, but on Air Force One, he does not want regime change in Iran because regime change causes chaos. So there you go. Well, that is absolute truth. That is very much true.
Kind of like how Hamas took over. I mean, they were a new regime.
They were voted on.
Exactly. So if there's a new, sometimes a new regime isn't the best option.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Trump has Iran right where he wants them. Do you know what I don't understand? Okay, CNN has a poll. Now, consider the source, all right? Consider the source. 56% of Americans disapprove of the U.S. strikes on Iran. But here's what I don't get. 85% of the American people were against Iran having a nuclear weapon. So how do they square with, what are you going to do, man? You're going to say, hey, Iran, pretty please don't produce a nuclear weapon? And you got to do it somehow. So I don't really understand. Majority of the American people did not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, yet 56% of the people, according to the CNN poll, say that they disapprove of Donald Trump's, taking out their nuclear assets. So I don't know. I think this polling is a little off because, at least to me, I just don't see how the 56% of the American people do the math, carry the one, whatever it is. How do they expect us to then be able to rid Iran of their nuclear capabilities? You have to take them out militarily. You can't just say, pretty please. I think this is all part of, I hate to say it, but the American people and their ignorance. That's what I think. There's only one way to deal with Iran when it comes to nukes. And you just heard Senator Hagerty on the phone with me. And there's only one way to deal with Iran to take away their nuclear capabilities, and that is militarily. By the way, when you dig into the numbers, of course, vast majority of Republicans are saying, yes, this was an important thing to do. Now, I want to play this audio from James Carville. Have you heard this, Joan?
No.
Jay, can I just say that James Carville is like a pig?
Oh.
Like, he is just gross. James Carville, when he is on, if you don't know who James Carville is, he is a celebrated Democrat. He is an activist. He is a strategist. His claim to fame is that he helped Bill Clinton get into office and probably some others, if I'm not mistaken.
Isn't there a movie about him?
I don't know. Is there?
I think so. I have to find the trailer. I remember seeing it.
I don't know. But whenever you see him, whenever you see James Carville, it's like, number one, I think we've talked about this, Joan, where he's got a horrible angle. He's on CNN, and the angle is like from a camera that he's holding down at his belt, right? It's just...
Yeah, it's a weird... I don't know why he's doing it.
Yeah, and he's just gross. And I kid you not, Joan, I saw him one time. He had a stain on a white T-shirt, and he's on CNN. And I'm yelling at the phone because I'm watching all of this on my phone. I'm like, did you not know you were going to be on TV? Anyway, this is what he says. This is what he says about Donald Trump.
Donald John Trump, who none of us think, if you're watching this, has the mental capacity or the intellectual curiosity to lead a nation at any time, much less when at war. Now, I'll say this and I'll say it again. I would bet anybody, and none of you would take the bet, that if you showed him a globe and asked him to point to Iran, he would know where the shit it is.
So that is James Carville. And don't you just love, though? Here's what I love, is that the Democrats were out there and this... I just don't like James Carville, clearly. I called him a pig. I probably shouldn't have. That went pretty personal. But, okay, he's an idiot. I love how he's trying to say that Donald Trump is unable to lead when he just executed a brilliant, obviously our military was, obviously involved, but, he's the president. He led it. And he's got the audacity. James Carville has the audacity to say, oh, Donald Trump can't lead. Are you flipping kidding me? Of course Donald Trump can lead. Your guy wasn't fit for office for the past 4 years, you nimrod. James Carville. God. He and Cringe Jean-Pierre and the rest of these people. It just, I got to tell you, the more that I hear of them, the more they drive me nuts. And I think that when Trump says...
They don't know what the they're doing.
I think he was talking about James Carville and the rest of the Democrats, too. 8 o'clock on WTN.
Hello there, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. President Trump has managed to quell the anger between Iran and Israel again this morning. It all started shortly after a ceasefire was declared, according to Mike Tobin at Fox News.
When the ceasefire was about 4 hours old. The IDF now says it was 2 missiles that flew into the north of Israel, both of them intercepted, resulting in no injury, but resulting in a fierce response from the top of the military echelons here in Israel. Defense Minister Yisrael Katz saying, I have instructed the IDF to respond forcefully to Iran's violation of the ceasefire with high-intensity strikes against regime targets.
And President Trump now saying that Israel has agreed not to retaliate, and Iran is holding off with any new missile strikes, at least so far. Meantime, NBC's Alice Barr reports that Iran may be playing hide and seek with its enriched uranium.
Trump administration officials pressing Iran not to try to rebuild its nuclear program amid reports the White House disputes that Iran may have moved some equipment and uranium from its nuclear sites before the U.S. strikes.
President Trump also addressing those concerns this morning, saying Iran will never rebuild their nuclear facilities in a Truth Social post. Well, if you were hoping for relief from the oppressive heat, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. WSMV4 Stefano DiPietro telling us that the extreme heat and humidity is back again today.
Muggy meter keeps dew points well into the 70s for today, not only helping to fuel some downpours, but downright making it miserable to be outside for extended periods of time. That heat index for today is already near 100 before we get to the start of our afternoon, topping off around 105 later today.
And he says we won't get a break from the extreme heat until after the weekend. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. McDonald's is bracing for a boycott and hoping conservatives will bail them out. An advocacy group has called for the boycott over the fast food chain's agreement to roll back its DEI initiatives, citing the evolving landscape around DEI. It stopped setting goals to increase diversity in senior leadership and ended a program that encouraged diversity among its suppliers. But McDonald's says that at the core, none of their programming has changed. The boycott is scheduled to begin today. Also, Meta, the parent company of Facebook, will be absent from the San Francisco Pride Festival for the first time this year. The LGBTQ organization that runs the parade says it cut ties with the social media company earlier this year after Meta enacted a number of new policies. That is the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. We've got a crash this morning at 31st Avenue at Vanderbilt Place. Watch out for that. Also, one in Belmont. It's on I-440 eastbound at Hillsborough Pike 21st Avenue. That's exit number 3. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.806 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you listening. Joan, this we should probably not do this on the air, but I need some guidance from a story you sent me.
Yeah.
There was this story regarding Hakeem Jeffries.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So Hakeem Jeffries, for you folks that don't know, he is the House Minority Leader. And he has been out there whining, and the Democrats have been out there whining that Donald Trump did not ask congressional permission to bomb Iran's military facilities. And number one, he doesn't need their permission. But number two, of course, now you have the Democrats screaming impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. Well, apparently, Caroline Levitt, she was asked by Fox News about all of this. And apparently, and I've got the audio, apparently he didn't pick up the phone.
That's what she's saying.
All right,
that
so
they did call him, and he just didn't pick up the phone.
Do you know what we know about Donald Trump?
What's that?
Is that he's not afraid to bring receipts. Remember the whole thing with Gavin Newsom?
Yeah, with the telephone call.
And Newsom never fact-checked him on that. He never corrected him. Remember that?
Yes.
Because we were on the air.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, so now the ball is in Newsom's court. It is up to him to somehow prove that Donald Trump did not call him. And it was crickets. So this is Caroline Levitt. This was yesterday on Fox News regarding Hakeem Jeffries. I will tell you, I've not heard this as of yet. Let's hope that she didn't drop any F-bombs like the president did this morning. Hold on. So this is Caroline Levitt.
So as this operation takes place, Democrats said they were not told about it. They were left in the dark, and they said usually there's bipartisan calls for this, and they didn't know about it. Here is Republican Thomas Massie.
We haven't been briefed. They should have called us all back. And frankly, we should have debated this war powers resolution that Ro Khanna and I offered instead of staying on vacation and doing fundraisers and saying, oh, well, the president's got this under control. We're going to cede our constitutional authority.
Should you have called everybody back?
Wait for it.
First of all, we did make bipartisan calls. Thomas Massie and the Democrats, he should be a Democrat because he's more aligned with them than with the Republican Party.
Ouch.
We're given notice. The White House made calls to congressional leadership. They were bipartisan calls. In fact, Hakeem Jeffries couldn't be reached. We tried him before the strike, and he didn't pick up the phone, but he was briefed after, as well as Chuck Schumer was.
How is it Hakeem Jeffries does not pick up a phone call from the White House? How is that possible?
Well, if he doesn't pick up the phone from the White House, then he gets to say, they never called me.
Plausible
deniability.
Yep. Here's more from Caroline Levitt.
But he was briefed after, as well as Chuck Schumer was briefed prior to the strike. So this notion that CNN ran with at the White House did not give a heads up to Democrats is just completely false. In fact, both Senator Schumer's office and CNN had to retract that story last night because it was a blatant lie. And we showed them the timestamps from those phone calls. But I want to add something to Thomas Massie's false point. The White House was not obligated to call anyone because the president was acting within his legal authority under Article 2 of the Constitution as Commander-in-Chief of the President of the United States. We gave these calls as a courtesy, and the Democrats are lying about this because they can't talk about the truth of the success of that operation and the success of our United States military and the success of this president and this administration in doing something that past administrations, Democrats too, have only dreamed about.
Yeah, President Obama.
So there you go. That is Caroline Levitt.
It reminded me, in a way, of what was his name? The guy that pulled the fire alarm so that there could be no vote taken in Congress. I mean,
what was
it's
his name?
Antics like that.
Jamal Bowman?
Jamal Bowman. I mean, it's antics like that that help these narratives to be generated in the press and continue in the press.
Well, look at Jamal Bowman. Look at Alex Padilla.
Yeah.
Well, we're crying all. You missed it yesterday because we were having fun with, crying Alex Padilla.
I bet.
I should have asked Bill Hagerty about Alex Padilla. Like, does he cry like in the bathroom? Like when he gets upset, does he go into the men's room and go into a stall and just start crying?
Nobody recognizes him, so why would they know?
Okay, real question. Would he actually answer that truthfully?
No, he wouldn't.
So, don't waste a question like that.
No, but I don't know.
He'll give you a good old "you have a good day, Dan" at the end there.
No, I don't need any more of those good day Dans from politicians. But
go for the trifecta.
So I think what we've figured out then is why Donald Trump, Joan, has been so angry with CNN. Because you heard Caroline Levitt talking about how CNN has been out there reporting that Hakeem Jeffries was not called, and the bipartisan calls were not made.
Right.
So I think maybe that's why Donald Trump said this earlier this morning.
And the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean.
Yeah, and that was President Trump. And if you are just tuning in, do you know, Joan, I've used about maybe 50% of my material this morning because of all the news that is broken this morning.
Yeah.
Here's more from Donald Trump talking about CNN.
But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers.
Oh, but there's one more where he's talking about how they're losers and
gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
So there you go, Donald Trump. Tell us how you really feel about CNN,
No
Donald
holding
Trump.
back.
Now, just to clarify, Joan, you had mentioned that CNN came out after he had made all of those accusations against CNN, saying that they were questioning whether or not those military facilities were destroyed, those nuclear facilities were destroyed. CNN came out and they quoted some nuclear facilities expert.
Yes.
All right.
They were, and he used the word destroyed. So there's this notion that the bombs could be dropped and that still they would not have gotten close enough to where Iran their bunkers were in order for the bombs to do damage. And also that maybe Iran has taken some of the nuclear material, the enriched uranium, and moved it to a different site.
People are saying that
because they knew.
They buried it.
Yeah.
People are saying they buried it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So there you go. You want to hear some, let's see, this was Mark Levin. People asked me to play the Mark Levin audio that I played in the 5 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
Where, the question about the so I guess the peace deal is back on. Is it okay to say that the ceasefire?
Yes.
The ceasefire is now back on.
Because President Trump called on Benjamin Netanyahu.
He squashed that, man.
Yeah.
You don't think Donald Trump... This is what I love about James Carville, right? So James Carville said, President Trump, he's not a good leader. Are you kidding me? he got both Israel and Iran back in line with a 6-minute gaggle outside of Air Force One. Donald Trump doesn't know how to lead. Oh, shut up. Anyway, this is Mark Levin. And Levin, for one, he is not necessarily happy with the ceasefire.
I hate this word ceasefire. I really do. The president hated it a few days ago, too. Iran should be forced to sign a surrender document. Unconditional surrender. They lost their nukes. They've lost their Air Force. They have no ground-to-air protection. China didn't step in. Russia didn't step in. Not a single Arab country stepped in. The supreme Nazi is hiding in a bunker, much like Adolf Hitler did. Adolf Hitler wasn't thrown a lifeline. He was going to be killed, so he committed suicide.
All right, so Mark Levin, to quote Chris Hand, not a fan. And I get it. And I've been saying all through this morning with Iran, I wrote down on my little notebook here, don't trust but verify. I actually said that to Senator Hagerty. What do you think Lindsey Graham said about all of this? Joan, what do you think Lindsey Graham said?
Well, Lindsey Graham's all for going all to war. And
Lindsey Graham was like, what we need to do is drop like 50,000 troops right in the heart of Iran. Okay, didn't say that. I've actually got his actual audio coming up next. It is 8:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Belmont, 440 eastbound to Hillsborough Pike. We've got report 83. Vandy, 31st Avenue, crash at Vanderbilt Place. No problem. And on 2465. No unusual delays on 40 or 840. I'm Christy O'Brien.
Today, a high of 98. Going to feel like 105 right now, 83 on WTN. This is Lindsey Graham on the ceasefire.
I am tonight challenging the foreign minister of Iran to publicly say tomorrow, you have the night to think about it, that the Iranian regime no longer wishes to destroy the state of Israel. We've abandoned our policy of killing all the Jews. We recognize Israel as a legitimate sovereign nation entitled to live in the region in peace with the rest of us. If they will say that, that is a giant leap forward and may lead to peace through a ceasefire. If they can't say that, that probably tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, so somehow, and I made this joke earlier, so with Iran, suddenly Israel does have a right to exist? In other words, I'm with everybody else, where I just don't trust Iran. And so my concern is that, and I'm on CNN, and they had a guy on there that said that within 5 years, Iran could actually emerge from this deal stronger than ever. But they're making it seem like this is why CNN is nothing but garbage. They're leaving out the fact that with this ceasefire, I'm assuming there will be some sort of a deal. And part of that deal has got to be, okay, so America and Israel, we will be the ones doing the inspections. Not United Nations or anybody. It's got to be us. It has got to be the U.S. It's got to be Israel. Two countries that actually have a vested interest in all of this. President Trump, of course, announcing the ceasefire yesterday. Congratulations to everyone. Israel and Iran have fully agreed to this ceasefire. I love what J.D. Vance, and J.D. Vance is so eloquent in all of this. He was on Fox News speaking about how great this is.
This is a great thing. For Israel, think about this. They've accomplished an important military objective. They've helped us destroy the Iranian nuclear program. They've also destroyed the conventional missile capability of Iran that threatened the country of Israel. For the Iranians, I think this is a new opportunity to actually pursue the path of peace. As I said yesterday, what the Iranians have showed through their support of terror networks, through their now failed effort to build a nuclear weapon, is that they're just not very good at war. And I think the president really hit the reset button and said, look, let's actually produce long-term peace for the region. That's always been his goal. I actually think when we look back, we will say the 12-day war was an important reset moment for the entire region.
So President Trump posting this, and by the way, just to get you right up to speed, the president has now apparently told reporters on Air Force One he is not looking for regime change in Iran. The president posting yesterday, though, Israel and Iran came to me almost simultaneously and said, peace, Trump says in capital letters. He says, I knew the time was now. The world and the Middle East are the real winners. Both nations will see tremendous love, peace, and prosperity in their futures. They have so much to gain and yet so much to lose if they stray from the road of righteousness and truth. The future for Israel and Iran is unlimited and filled with great promise. God bless you both. Here's more from J.D. Vance.
This is a great thing. For Israel, think about this. They've accomplished an important military objective. They've helped us destroy the Iranian nuclear program. They've also destroyed the conventional missile capability of Iran that threatened the country of Israel. For the Iranians, I think this is a new opportunity to actually pursue the path of peace. As I said yesterday, what the Iranians have showed through their support of terror networks, through their now failed effort to build a nuclear weapon, is that they're just not very good at war. And I think the president really hit the reset button and said, look, let's actually produce long-term peace for the region.
Yeah, and there's a lot more that he said. He also confirmed that they were very close to a nuclear weapon.
By the way, there's some new Truth Socials out this morning.
Go ahead.
You ready for this?
Sure.
Okay, so the first one is from Donald Trump. Heading to NATO, where at worst it'll be a much calmer period than what I just went through with Israel and Iran. I look forward to seeing all of my very good European friends and others. Hopefully much will be accomplished. Here's the one, though. He goes off on Thomas Massie.
Oh, he doesn't like Thomas Massie.
He does not. Third-rate Congressman Thomas Massie of the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, a phenomenal state that I won all 3 times by a lot, keeps talking about how he is going to protect the Constitution, but he's actually very bad for the Constitution and will probably vote against, it has a new name now, the Great Big Beautiful Bill that grants the biggest tax cuts in history, secures our southern border from criminal invasion. It goes on. He says he is against all of the above and many other incredible things. Why would anyone want to vote for a so-called congressman, a rhino at best, who wants to raise your taxes by 68%, which is what will happen if the Great Big Beautiful Bill doesn't pass? Calls him a loser at the end of this.
Does he call him a loser?
Yeah, he does.
Right at the end?
He's not.
Well, he's on a roll.
He's a loser. Yeah.
Well, okay, so Thomas Massie is somebody who is very hawkish when it comes to the budget. Everybody knows that. If this is what Donald Trump wants, and if the Republican Party want to get somebody to try to primary Thomas Massie, they can certainly do that. I think that's happened, hasn't it? I haven't paid much attention to whether or not he's been primaried before, but people in Kentucky love him.
I know, and I don't get it.
People in Kentucky love him. I don't get it either, to be honest with you, but you have to, at the very least, admire that the guy stands by his values. I mean, he really does. And I get what he's saying about the now great big beautiful bill, because there is a concern from a lot of folks that it is going to raise the debt and the deficit. I don't think the American people at this point care anymore. All right, real quick. Because Thomas Massie, I mean, here's the deal, is that he has become a guy that is almost against everything that Trump wants to do.
Right.
Like that's part of the conversation with Massie, is that he's been a thorn in the side of Republicans and of Donald Trump. So
President Trump, by the way, according to Axios, has launched an aggressive effort to unseat Thomas Massie, creating a PAC in order to primary him.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah.
So, and that's not real surprising. When did that happen?
Not
I wonder. I feel like I've talked about that. Maybe I've
Axios
talked
reported
about that.
it 2 days ago.
2 days ago? Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Hey, have you, this is actually, with all that's been going on, this is my favorite story. Have you heard about the new ICE facility in Florida?
No.
You haven't heard about this?
No.
All right, we're going to talk about that coming up at 8:35. Also, hold on. I want to do this right. Hold on. Stand by, everybody.
Okay, everybody is standing by.
It's sound effect time.
Oh, I see.
All right. Hey, Joan, I want you to guess who we're going to talk to at 8:35. I'm going to give you a hint.
Okay.
You ready?
Ready.
This is your hint. That's your hint. Okay, now, don't you say who it is, KGB, because I know that you know. Do you know who we're going to talk to?
I already know.
I want to know. From the super text line, I want people to see if they can guess who it is that we're going to speak to hopefully at 8:35.
So proud of yourself. I just know I've done this for so
You'll
long. I've known
probably
you
get
so well.
6 million guesses.
Once
Oh, Joan Jones.
What is it, Dan?
Nothing. Whatever. 8:25. I'm kind of proud of myself
you're
for
still
that.
smiling.
I am.
Once you made it, you're like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah, I did that. All right,
Amy's going to be
Joan,
so proud.
what's coming up?
The ceasefire is fragile, but it's holding. We've got the latest on what's happening in the Middle East this morning, coming up here at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 8:25, Nashville's morning news. 6 million guesses. That's good, Joan.
Thank you.
My upstairs bathtub, not so good. It does have holes in it. Still, you've been gone a few days, Joan. My bathtub still does have holes in it. It is really ugly. It needs a lot of work, and I got to call my friends at Zintex. Now, if you've got a bathtub that needs work like mine clearly does, Zintex, they have been in business since 2001. They are here to help you with your bathtub. They can remodel your shower. They can remodel your bathtub. They can even convert that bathtub into a walk-in shower. Now, these types of home improvements, they can increase the value of your home, and Zintex, they can have it wrapped up in a day. Now, Zintex is an award-winning company that offers limited lifetime warranties for both their products and installation. You can make your bathroom safer with a walk-in shower, complete with grab bars and a bench seat. This is a great way to help the older folks in your life who need that assist and support. So fix, remodel, or convert your tub into a shower today with Zintex. That phone number, tell them Dan told you to reach out. 629-258-7747, 629-258-7747. A great deal going on right now. You mentioned WTN, $1,750 off or no interest for 24 months, whichever works best for you, and also no payments for 2 years. Zintex, Zintex.com. Dan Mandis here, 828. Listen, I've got a question for you. If your roof was destroyed in a storm, how much of that replacement cost would your insurance company cover? Now, if you don't know, you really do need to ask. Man, I've been talking about this for a long time because some insurance companies, they refuse to pay full replacement cost. Do you know the policy with your insurance company? Now, with a lot of these places, what they're doing is they're going to deduct money for an older roof. So that means that the insurance company is depreciating how much they pay for your roof claim. If you've got an older roof, they're going to pay you less, and that could leave you on the hook for thousands of dollars. Now, my friends at King and Associates Insurance, they will pay full replacement cost. So whether you have to replace a 10-year-old roof or a 2-year-old roof, they do pay for it to be replaced, period. It is that kind of focus on customer service that makes King and Associates Insurance one of the best insurance companies around. 615-329-8121. Get your royal review, tkinginsurance.com.
Good morning, now 8:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. President Trump has strong words for both Israel and Iran after they apparently violated the ceasefire announced by the president.
President Trump imploring Israel to not take further military action against Iran, writing on social media, quote, "Do not drop those bombs. If you do, it's a major violation. Bring your pilots home now." The president telling reporters before leaving the White House.
These guys got to calm down. Ridiculous.
Israel says Iran violated the ceasefire, but Iran denies firing missiles after it went into effect. Asked by ABC's Rachel Scott if both Israel and Iran are committed to peace, the president said,
"We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing."
Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Members of Congress, meantime, will receive a classified briefing today on Iran. Many are warning President Trump against expanding the conflict without congressional approval. Speaking with ABC News, Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska.
The threat of Iran gaining that nuclear capability is a threat to our country. I don't think any of us want to be in a world where Iran has that nuclear capability.
In local news, the Nashville Public Library is closed now until July 28th, following an assessment of impacts to the building after the June 10th fire in the adjacent parking garage. WSMV4 saying that the closure allows for completion of a full and thorough cleaning and restoration process. Money News brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Well, stocks rose this morning after on the hopes that ceasefire in the Middle East will hold this morning. The Dow Jones Industrials opened up 276 points higher this morning. NASDAQ, it's up 197. The S&P 500 index is plus 42. And we're looking at oil this morning. Oil has gone down about 5% at this point this morning. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 8:32. You know, I've been talking for years about the Glock store. These folks helped me buy my first gun. It is where I continue to train. So, look, if you need a new firearm, they've got all the Glocks. They've got factory Glocks. They've got custom Glocks. And don't forget the wildly popular Trump Glock. But they've also got all those accessories that folks love, a red and green dot optics, upgraded triggers, and the lowest prices on Glock magazines in the country. Not just on sale every once in a while, but every single day. And by the way, at the Glock store, don't forget about the bullets. Just buy a 10-round test pack of 9mm ammo, and you can test fire any Glock in the rental department. And let me tell you, I've seen those Glocks. They are some amazing Glocks. They've got some really cool guns back there, including, by the way, the Glock 43X, the most popular handgun in America. So buy, upgrade, or train. It is all at the Glock store. Minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere. Glockstore.com, shoot270.com. All right, Dan Mendes here for Renstall. Listen, if you've got a European vehicle, this is the place to get it serviced and repaired and maintained. Renstall here in Nashville. Now, they offer the best technicians, the latest and greatest diagnostic equipment, and they are dedicated to customer service. Now, this is, as we like to say, this is dealer-level service, but family-level care and honest pricing. It's not a corporate mindset. Honest pricing, just a family business, helping out their friends and neighbors by delivering honesty, respect, and exceptional service. So if you've got a BMW, an Audi, Mercedes-Benz, a Porsche, any other European car, they can fix it. By the way, you know what I love about Renstall? They proudly offer the Heroes discount, veterans, active duty military, first responders, and emergency medical personnel all get a 10% discount on all repairs. They also have, by the way, a great coffee bar, and they also offer complimentary shuttle service and free Uber rides as well. Immediate appointments and a quick turnaround. Check them out. They are online, itrustmymechanic.com, conveniently located across the street from the Academy of Country Music, 5 minutes from Music Row and 2 minutes from downtown. itrustmymechanic.com, 615-777-7100, 615-777-7100 for Renstall.
Got some delays this morning around a crash in Una. It's on Smith Springs Road, east of Reynolds Road. Also, some delays traveling in on 24 this morning. Not too bad, though, from the Levin area into Nashville. Looks like things are running fairly smoothly on 40 until you get to the airport. Then it slows down as you make your way into the curve at 24. And things are looking fairly well coming in from the north side as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.838, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you. I'm so excited. We're about out of here, folks. Well, I am. Joan has to stick around for a while.
Yeah, only for another hour.
Is that why Joan has been so persnickety today?
I have not been
persnickety?
persnickety.
You're persnickety about getting called persnickety, aren't you? Anyway.
That is fighting words.
So...
You're just mad that I figured it out.
Matt Murphy's calling right now.
Yeah.
Oh, he is.
I'm gonna drop this on. I'm gonna play this for Matt. I want to see if he knows what that is. All right. Hey, Matt Murphy.
Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, Matt. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well.
Okay, so
thank you for asking.
So can you name this sound? You know what that is?
That is the isn't that the $6 Million Man sound?
Yes, it's bionic because you now have apparently a bionic shoulder.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what's
told
going on.
that it'll make everything better.
Do you prefer that or RoboCop?
RoboCop's pretty good.
Yeah.
So when you now go through airport security, are you going to set off the alarms?
I have titanium. I have a titanium pin that runs down the length, or partially down the length of my left arm bone, and I have a titanium cap. So I think they told me that it will set off the alarm, but I think they also told me that generally speaking, if you just tell them that you had shoulder replacement surgery, they just go, okay, we're going through.
Oh, that's comforting. So all the terrorist has to do is say, oh, I've got a titanium arm.
the federal government at work.
So let me ask you. So a number of things. First of all, I didn't even know this was happening until yesterday. I apologize for that. But
well, thanks for listening to the show.
Yeah, some friend.
Well, listen, Matt's on from like 7 to 10. I'm not
Fair.
up that late.
Fair.
I'm just kidding.
Don't make me laugh. It'll hurt my shoulder.
So you were in surgery. So Matt Murphy, in case you don't know, Matt, afternoon guy, bone spurs and buildup in your shoulder, and apparently from the lovely E, she says the doctor says it was the worst case that they'd ever seen. These bone spurs and buildup. First of all, what exactly? I've heard of bone spurs, Matt, but what exactly is a bone spur?
No. What I developed was so I've learned all of this during this process, right? So let me just give you the 10-cent version of the story. About, 20 years ago, I was playing in a softball league at a radio station in Birmingham. I was working for Crawford Broadcasting at the time. And my dumb butt tried to stretch. You were right, but I think I heard you. You were right. I tried to stretch a double into a triple.
Yep.
And I slid head first.
Like Pete Rose.
And I completely, exactly not like Pete Rose.
You tried to do Pete Rose.
Right. So I jammed my shoulder. I dislocated my shoulder. And it was a big deal. And, Erica wanted me to go to the doctor. She wanted me to go to the ambulance to the emergency room. I wouldn't do it. And
you opted for the air flight.
Right. The helicopter landing on the field.
Yes.
So long story short, I went through like 3 or 4 weeks of needing to go to the doctor, and I never did. So it got better, but I did not realize that I had torn my labrum, which is the cartilage between your shoulder socket and your shoulder bone. And the labrum got destroyed over time, and it created arthritis. So my arthritis has been getting worse over time. And when bone is on bone, bone's reaction to trauma is to grow more bone, which is why we get bone spurs. And what I grew, what is known in the medical community as a goat's beard, which is about a thumb-sized piece of bone on the bottom side of my shoulder. And I had to have it removed. And the only way to do that is through shoulder replacement.
So
it's technically known as here big words for you, KGB. Ready? It's technically known as a total anatomic shoulder arthroplasty.
Wow. It could just be defined as.
That's right.
So, but you're okay now, and you're going to be back in. Is it a week?
Yeah. So my block is still in effect. I have no idea what's going to happen at about noon or 1 o'clock today, because I had a 24-hour total nerve block put on my shoulder, so I don't really feel what's going on down there. Okay. So I'll be out a week, dealing with just pain recovery, because I'm on some pretty strong, like oxycodone or something like that. I have no idea. I don't even know who you are right now, as a matter of fact.
That's okay. Nobody else does either.
Matt, we're feeling for you right now. We're playing some sad violin music for you at the moment.
No, hey, Matt. He actually is. He's playing the music.
It's okay, Matt. We're here for you, buddy.
All right, so we can take that off.
Thank you, KGB.
On behalf of the Russian Violin Orchestra.
So, Matt, here's the great news, though. The great news is, Chris Hand has been filling in for you. And I don't know if you know this, but Donald Trump has been listening with everything that's going on. And he had a thought about how Chris Hand has been doing in afternoons. And he said,
they don't know what the they're doing.
That's what Donald Trump said about. All right, there you
go. I don't know if it's the oxy or not, Dan, but you're being very funny today. That's good.
it's the oxy. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Joan.
I woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm sleeping in a recliner, like a power recliner that we bought specifically for this experience, because you've got to sleep at a 45-degree angle. And I'm on my phone with my one good hand, and I almost bought a pair of Pabst Blue Ribbon Timberland boots. I escaped. I know they actually exist. The only reason I didn't buy them was I didn't know if I was dreaming or not.
Oh, that is so funny. All right, so are you literally on oxy? Because I know there's a guy down on Demunbrin that wants the excess.
Hey, could you get me? Well, no. Oh, I was thinking the other way. I was thinking, could you get me a few extra?
Sure.
After your shift,
of course.
Just in case I need them, pop them over. Well, I know who to call. Here's the great thing: I know who to call if I need anything. I mean, E's been great. She's awesome. She's actually monitoring this call as we speak because she said, "I do not want you to get either fired or divorced." So,
let me ask you: when you woke up out of surgery after 5 hours of surgery, did E tell you they impeached Donald Trump? Like, did she mess with you? Because that's what Amy would do. Absolutely.
I can't believe you missed it. You've been live. The station's been live on the air since you've been under, and you've missed all of it. Yeah. I hate it. I hate that all of this is going on right now. The kids call it jelly.
Yeah.
I'm jelly right now.
Yep.
But I can't be on
No,
the
they
radio,
don't.
So, but I'll be back. KGB, I hate to disabuse you of any notions that you think, but you're not a kid anymore.
That's right.
You're not the authority on what the kids do.
And actually, do you know who is the authority? Amy. And she says, "Oh yeah, it's jelly. That's what they call it." You know why? Because the first time she said, "Oh, you're just jelly." I'm like, grape or strawberry? I was like, I didn't understand.
My first realization that I am 30 now.
There you go. All right, man, Murphy. That is your cue to go back to bed. So.
By the way, I just real quick, I want to say I love everybody. Thank you to all of the listeners that have sent kind words. It's very, very sweet, and thank you for talking to me.
Hey, by the way, is Crawford Broadcasting, are they paying for all this? I mean, this was their fault years ago by allowing you on the softball field.
Somebody brought that up, and it never even occurred to me to file workers' comp. So maybe I can get some retro workers' comp. Who knows?
I don't even know if are they still around?
I don't even think he's still alive.
Oh. Well, then you're better off than he is. Moving right along.
Go to his grave. Like, hey, you owe me this.
All right, goodbye.
They wouldn't let me keep my shoulder pieces. I'm very upset by that.
They wouldn't?
I think actually I forgot to ask.
I had a big thingy in my back one time. It was like some sort of a big cyst. Do you know that I told them that I wanted to see it after surgery because I went in and they got it out. It was like a softball. You know what softball is, Matt, of course.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you have your situation now. It was a softball-sized cyst in my back, and they pulled it out.
Ew. We're having breakfast,
I told them I wanted to see it when they took it out because I'd been dealing with it for years, and they actually brought it in.
Yeah, I'm not hungry anymore.
Well, and it was so cool.
I know you've got to go, but there's an infamous story that I've told several times on the air. My mother had brain surgery in 1978, and they let her keep her tumor. We had the tumor in the medicine cabinet when I was growing up. And so in the spirit of my mother, Erica actually said that I did ask them to let me keep it. And they said, "Oh, God, no, we don't do that anymore." So
why? Yeah. Why wouldn't they? It's yours.
That's what I said. I grew it. I want it.
That's exactly right, man.
Sure, it's a liability issue of some sort.
I made it all by myself.
All right.
They actually take it to radiology for testing. Whatever. Okay.
All right. Whatever. They need to do a DNA test to make sure it's actually yours. That's what it is.
I would like to see that. Yeah.
All
okay.
right.
I'm going to go back to bed now.
All right. See you later, Matt.
All right. Bye.
I think that last joke he didn't find funny.
I don't think he did either.
He might. All right. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, Dan. He might just be so out of it he didn't hear.
Whatever. It's all good.
I mean, he just had surgery a day ago. He still has the anesthesia probably, and he's still trying to recover from it.
He's got the anesthesia. He's got the oxy.
Yeah, he's on all the things.
Yeah, he is.
And
all right.
Then you brought up your cyst.
Was that wrong?
It's just
yeah.
The funny thing is though,
gross.
like didn't I call it though, real quick? Didn't I call in the 5 o'clock hour? I said, and I had not heard him tell the story. I didn't even know any of this was happening.
Yeah.
So when I said, he's probably trying to slide like Pete Rose, because it was 20 years ago. And if you folks don't know, Pete Rose, great baseball player, and he would always slide head first. Do you know how many times I tried to slide head first and I just went tumbling? And finally I just gave up.
My Little League field
that
was not...
That explains an awful lot.
It does, doesn't it, Joe?
Yeah,
My Little League field had a lot of pebbles in the in the dirt when I slid head first one time and cut open my stomach.
Oh.
Yeah, I got a sharp little pebble in me.
All right, real quick. The Immigrant Detention Center in Florida. Do you know where they're building it, Joan?
Yes.
They're building it in the middle of the Florida Everglades. They're calling it the Alligator Alcatraz.
We rolled out this proposal last week. It's a location we've been looking at with law enforcement for a while. 30 square miles surrounded by the Everglades down in South Florida. Prevents the unique opportunity for a low-cost detention facility because the perimeter is already set by Mother Nature.
Yeah, you've got alligators.
Yeah.
You've got
sawgrass.
You've got giant snakes like pythons and rattlesnakes. The Florida cottonmouth as well.
Yeah.
They even have American crocodiles.
We'll have some light infrastructure, a lot of heavy-duty tent facilities, trailer facilities. We don't need to build a lot of brick and mortar. Again, it will be temporary, and thankfully Mother Nature does a lot on the perimeter. We'll have a little bit of additions needed, but there's really nowhere to go. If you're housed there, if you're detained there, there's no way in, no way out.
That is Attorney General for the state of Florida, James, is it Uthmeyer or whatever? But it's going to cost about $540 million a year to run. They may get some reimbursement from FEMA. They started work yesterday, and according to the Florida AG, they are going to prioritize criminal illegal aliens, the worst of the worst.
We'll prioritize criminal aliens as the Trump administration has called on us to do, as was discussed with Tom Homan yesterday. I mean, there's 600,000 or so criminal aliens in this country that have already been convicted of other crimes. Yeah. So there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. We've got to get these dangerous people off the streets, first and foremost, but then we've got to enforce rule of law across the board. Yeah. If you are not legally in this country, you should not be here. And we've got an obligation to support the Trump administration.
Yep. Of course, Trump has been asking for local help in getting all these illegal aliens processed, Joan.
Yes. And now that they can keep them in this facility, and the Supreme Court has said they can be sent to anywhere in the world that the administration feels like it.
Yep.
Their little heinies are going to be on an airplane to Sudan.
There you go. Where'd you rather be, in the middle of the Florida Everglades or Sudan?
Yeah, I don't think their options are good at the moment.
I'll take my chances with Florida. I'll take chances with Florida just because I know if I need help, there's some guy with a shotgun right around the corner ready to help if I need it.
Sure, maybe, but if you misbehave, they'll throw you to the alligators and the crocodiles.
And they may turn the shotgun on you if they realize that you're an illegal alien with a criminal background.
There you go.
Well, I'm not, so...
Here's more.
Attorney General James Uthmeyer, he says the potential site would serve as a 3-in-1 immigration enforcement facility. It would house detainees, process legal cases, and serve as a deportation hub.
I mean, I love this. Now, of course, with anything the Trump administration does, you have these people.
It's not good for our people, it's not good for our environment, it's not good for our quality of life. Although it's a trigger, a canary in the coal mine of a much deeper systemic problem. And we're seeing it here being built literally in the middle of our Everglades, right next to the Miccosukee homelands. This is an embarrassment, not just for the Everglades, not just for South Florida, but for our entire country.
So
I hate the word systemic now. Systemic is the worst word ever.
I love what they're doing, though. Right there in the middle of the Florida Everglades. Good luck to you. And, if you escape, there's no way you're getting out of there. So, you ever seen the pythons in the Florida Everglades, Joan? They are massively huge.
That's a frightening scenario. Like, how are they going to keep them, whatever facility they build, how are they going to keep them, the pythons, from entering the facility?
It's exactly right.
Oh,
and I don't know. I would not want to be there.
No.
I would not want to be there at all. All right, it is 8:54, running late. Super Talk 99.7. Very quickly, Joan, what's coming up?
Well, Dan, at 9 o'clock this morning, President Trump rescues his ceasefire from the jaws of defeat. Also, why some Madison homeowners are out of a home this morning. Those stories and more coming up at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTM.
Yeah, man, it's here. Summertime is here. Boy, is it hot. You want to be active. You want to go out and have fun. But if you're sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, you've got to go to my guy, Dr. Kevin Mitchell at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. He's helped so many people across Middle Tennessee. He can help you as well. They're experts in spinal decompression therapy. It does work. No pills, surgery, or injections. And right now, they do have a great deal for the month of June. They charged Donald Trump with 34 felonies. Not one of them stuck. But at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they're going to turn that 34 into something positive. It is the presidential special for just $34. You can get your initial consultation, x-rays, and that very first treatment, $34. 615-246-5009, painisbad.com. Dan Mandis here. Mark Spain Real Estate, the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. It is the easiest way to sell your home. You can save time, make the most money, and eliminate all the hassle this summer. You know, Mark Spain Real Estate, they were ranked on the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest growing companies in America for the 8th year in a row. They respond fast, and yes, they're one of the most experienced real estate teams in America. This is the company you want to turn to sell your home fast with limited hassle, and you're going to make the most money. 855-299-SOLD is the phone number.